If there is anything that is magical about this series, you will understand how important it is to get your feet firmly planted on the ground. This is the early stage of the season, and with that, the understanding is very clear. Get your points down early. Don't worry about what happens a little bit later on. For the Club Series, we're here right now at the legacy version of Silverstone, giving ourselves the opening opportunity to racing, but it's also going to be about jumping over the British Channel into Belgium and Zolder, where 2 races will await after this first one. This is your MX5 World Sim Series, and it's here with us on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone watching around the world. My name is Jake Sperry, and alongside me in the booth today for this one is Mike Naus. You've got Daniel Costello, who is in the director's chair today. He's using the cameras provided by Dougie Beard. But to start things off, Silverstone. It's the home of open wheel. It is the home of Formula One. But on this national layout, this is going to be where these MX5s are going to have an interesting challenge today. Let's see what this toaster racetrack has to offer with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Silverstone. Most famously known for being the first circuit to host a round of Formula One, this place has since become synonymous with British motorsports. Hosting everything from sports cars to touring cars to open wheels and even motorcycles, it's a track that fits a wide variety of vehicles. With 5 different layouts to choose from, you've got a little something for any level of racing. The longest of those layouts boasts 17 turns over more than 3 miles or 5 kilometers, so it can take a bit to get around it, even in higher-powered machinery. Its main characteristics are the long straights, swift corners, and general lack of elevation change. Its most famous set of turns is definitely the Maggots-Beckett sequence, in which anything with high downforce finds itself challenged with the rapid changes of direction. While there is a fair bit of paved runoff and quick corners like Copse and Stowe, the time lost from going off can be costly. There's a few turns with opportunities for overtaking, including Vale, Abbey, and Priory, but in cars with less horsepower, expect the slipstream to be where many attempt to get by. The Hangar Straight is perhaps the most notorious for draft battles to erupt. All in all, this versatile racetrack located just northwest of London provides both history in its roots and action on the tarmac. The huge number of British fans that typically attend events are seldom left wanting.
That is just what makes Silverstone tick. This older version of the circuit, this shortened version of the circuit is going to be a challenge here, Mike. This is going to be a drafting masterclass here. You've got the Club Straight, which forms effectively as the Wellington Straight, and then you've got those runs, Brooklands, Luffield, Woodcote, of course, the right at Copse Corner. There's only one left-hander on this circuit. It's going to feel very ovalish.
Absolutely. An absolute thriller tonight with these MX5s, obviously. These cars extremely momentum-based, all about maximizing the minimum speed through the very few corners that we have, 6 turns. As we said, that is going to be 1 corner to the left, the rest of the corners all to the right. The National Circuit located here in Northamptonshire, England. I cannot wait.
Well, I can't wait either, and you've got a lot of opportunities here in this Club Series to really make that progress. Top 10 in the championship is the aim of the game for these drivers in the club standings. This is the overall standings, though, to the championship, which currently is led by the reigning champion, Jaume Dalmas's Nicholas Goebel is second, along with Jason Cooper third. Lars Fischer makes it 3 5-star cars, second, third, and fourth, with Camden Hibbett and David Teron in 5th and 6th. Adnan Grozdanic is 7th, with Tony Leiter-Markey in 8th position, Yuan Lin 9th, and Lincoln Fox rounding out the top 10 overall as those standings look. But these top 10, they're looking for a ticket in to the back of the grand final at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca here. And Mike, this is how they stand.
Yeah, currently Christian up in the front here. It's 65 points total as well in the session, up at the top of the times at the current moment. Behind him is going to be Stefan Aldering in that P2 with Damian McMillan in 3rd. Alexander Nikolov in P4. Apologies for any mispronunciations. Going to be in P4 with Nuno Ricardo in 5th. Pedro Mirman, once again, apologies to everybody, in P6. Merriman rounding out 19 points off of the championship. Very tight board here. Obviously, we are into round 2. Behind that is going to be Tom Weston with Mackenzie Mann in eighth, excuse me. Victor Oliveira in 9th, and Sander Ware bringing out the 10th position here, just 1 point behind the 9th position. Tight board at the top here, and of course, moving on.
Yeah, it is tight. And then, of course, you've got the overall Nations Cup, which is on for the MX5 World Sim Series. Spain currently with control of that, but not to the heavier margins that they had earlier on with last season. It's only a 3-point margin over Germany, with the two Uniteds, the Kingdom and the States, 3rd and 4th. Finland find themselves 5th, with the Netherlands in 6th. Brazil head up France 7th and 8th, with Sweden in 9th, and it's the Belgians who round out the top 10, already 139 points adrift as they go through. Looking very dominant, though, in the Club Cup as things stand, with it looking pretty much as dominant as you could possibly expect. The points tally there maybe not quite showing what it needs to at the moment, with a few very heavy minuses, so we'll just have to double check that before we go back to that over again. But as things stand here, Mike, this is going to be, I think, one of the most interesting races that you got out there, because you've also got some work that's going through up, down, left, right, center, and, you know, everywhere you look, I think the team standards have done exactly the same. You know, it's going to be tough, 25 minutes in these races, but 1 lap qualifying.
Yeah, 1 lap to master these little beasts. Of course, these cars are going to be just an absolute thriller. Here, this track tonight, or what we're going to be looking for in the future. We have round 2 out of 10 here. The drivers are going to be in a seated split, 25-minute races. I think we're going to have 2 of them here tonight, or 3 of them, excuse me, with fixed setups. Spare car is available in case that worst-case scenario does happen. And we do expect a couple of those tonight, potentially. Obviously, we have various levels of skill throughout the entirety of the grid here tonight, and it is going to be very exciting to see these cars. An absolute rocket ship. Obviously, they're 0 to 60 in a whopping 6.3 seconds. We're not quite talking a Ferrari here, but it's all about maximizing that minimum speed, carrying that through the corners. And as we head on here to the circuit, I'll let you take that away.
It's Damien McMullen with the first time in. This is a handling car of absolutely beautiful proportion, as Christian Bissarov, who took the victory last time out, goes to the top of the times, 1.5 tenths of a second clear of Luis Suarez, who finds himself then in 2nd position currently. It's going to be a mad scramble here to try and get their laps, and it is only a short lap here. It's only 66 seconds around this 4-kilometer track. So what you're getting really in terms of, the 2-kilometer track, 2.6 kilometers, this is going to be really much a case of where can you find the time. If you're Carlos Horn, for example, there, Mike, that's quite comfortable there on the front. 0.04 of a second faster, and showing his real first intent here with qualifying.
Yeah, you say quite comfortable. I might disagree with that slightly. Obviously, 45 thousandths of a second. Currently, our top 3 separated by less than a blink of an eye. Obviously, the human blink of an eye, 0.2 of a second for anyone that was curious. It's currently separating P4 and 3 as it stands. Oliveira in that tight margin, though. This is what's incredible. You see these cars. We have 2.6 kilometers, 1.6 miles for the people on my side of the pond, of course. And within that tight of margins, obviously, that is just making a millimeter of a difference of a line throughout the lap.
Here's the Thai driver, Leon Vorters, on screen, making his run now towards Woodcote Corner and trying to get a lap time down on the board. Will make that push forward, and this is a flying lap then. So he was looking to try and get his outlap sorted, and this is probably one of the most ferocious first corners you can have out there on a lap. Copse Corner, in through the right, try and hug the curb on the inside, maximize your exit off of this corner, but in any piece of machinery, you are on the limit trying to maximize the track.
Absolutely, as we tip the car in here to what would normally be Maggots and then Beckett's. This time around, it is Maggots as a hairpin. You can see there, that would be the line where those cones are, taking it nice and tight though. Getting onto that accelerator a little bit late. This, of course, these are cars front engine, so you're not too worried about the back end stepping out. You can hear it banging off that rev limiter as it heads onto the club straight, or what would be the Wellington. Now looking for that braking marker into Brooklands, and of course the most famous corner complex as well, potentially in the world, the Luffield Woodcut Sweep Complex here to finish out the lap.
Say this has been a safe lap is an understatement. This has very much been a case of paint by numbers at this moment from Leon Vortas, and that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. Only 22 drivers have set a time. You might as well set one and get the jump over 8 other drivers on the grid as it stands. It's a 114.9. There is no 107% limit here in this session, so that will mean that will be quite nice in terms of getting that sorted. Here is the SDC Spirit 14 racing car. Pedro Marimon is out there at this moment, and he is looking to get set for his flying lap out there. And one of the advantages maybe that we're seeing, Mike, is that these drivers who are waiting a little bit later here to set their times, they know what the benchmark is. They'll see that it is going to be Carlos Horn, the time to beat. And so Pedro Marimon, he'll be straight on it, trying to get as much as he can out of the lap.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, not to mention the fact the track is obviously rubbering in, getting more and more grip as you tip those cars in. These cars, not quite as on the limit as a Formula One car, so that track rubbering in, it's not going to be quite as obvious in these cars, but it is noticeable. That was a very on the limit first corner there as he goes into the next sweep.
Yeah, pushing through at Maggot's corner and now going through that right hand of really trying to maximize the circuit. You can go all the way out to that grass on the left-hand side. It won't give you here in iRacing what's known as an off-track incident point, and that, of course, will invalidate any qualifying lap. Even if you get a 0x piece of contact, you might struggle. Look at the car pitched down under the brakes there. 006, sixth in the championship, well inside the top 10 at the moment for championship points, but rushing around then through Luffield corner and now making that push here over towards the line. We'll see what time that Pedro can find here with this, with just under 3 minutes left in this one-shot qualifying. It's a 107.2. That's good enough for 8th fastest, which is pretty solid in terms of things. There's maybe only one other driver out there who can find a time, and it's him. It's South African Michael Elliott.
Michael Elliott here, getting heat into the tires, getting ready. As that car, you can see, it squats down so much. Such a squishy suspension on these very light cars. I think these cars coming in around, if I had to guess, about 890 kilos, probably, but 1,200 pounds, or 2,000 pounds. Just about a ton of machinery, but there is going to be the start of the lap here, getting as much exit speed as he can to head to the line here.
Yeah, so this is where an important lap begins, at Cops Corner, and we've seen it so many times already. Michael Elliott, 13th in the championship as it stands, really attacks that inside curve. He almost cuts it on the inside there, clipping a little bit of grass, trying to get some rotation going forward, but now making his way over to the right-hand side of the circuit, trying to minimize as much turn as possible here, get onto the left-hand side of the track, open up the right, and he clatters that inside curve because he's trying to take as much road as he possibly can, and he will dip over that white line. That's where Aintree would be, and the loop turns 4 and 5, of course, not on this layout of the circuit here. We're running the legacy version, which was the iRacing scan originally of Silverstone back in 2008. On the brakes then to Brooklands, you got that 1 take and that 2 take, avoiding what effectively is the initial Priory section, that effective stadium section that it used to be. And now as Elliott charges out of Luffield corner, it's all about precision. He uses all of his road tacks and a little bit more, trying to get this one over towards the line. 6.6 is the time to beat Elliott. 7.2 does jump Marimon though for that 4th row of the grid. That will decide everybody forward, and that will take us over to the Simify starting grid here today. Simify is your one-stop shop for all your sim racing gear. You can choose from iconic brands and bundles in an array of physical hardware to get your leg up on the competition. Simify ships worldwide and also has 2 sim racing centers, both in Madrid and Barcelona. You can head to www.simify.com/MX5WSS to have your discount applied automatically on your sim racing purchases today. Link down in the description. It is an important qualifying session that everybody has themselves set up and ready for, and they know how crucial it is, this race of 25 minutes that they are getting situated with. It's the 038 car of Carlos Horn, who is on the pole position with his 106.680 through one-shot qualifying. He'll have Christian Bisserov alongside for company, the championship leader. Victor Oliveira will go from third, as row 2 will be rounded out with Luis Suarez. Stefan Alderding starts 5th alongside Alexander Nikolov in 6th position. David Geddes starts 7th along with Michael Elliott, with Pedro Marimon in 9th and Nuno Ricciardo rounding out the top 10.
Moving on to P11, we have Damian McMillan in the bringing up row 6 here, with Martin Smith company in P12. Thomas Martinez is going to be 13th quickest with Bruno Lisboa in P14. David Blasiz in P15 with Sergio Durate in P16. Rounding out row 9 here is going to be Rene in P17 and Tom Weston in 18th. Mackenzie Mann 19th quickest, and Sander Ware rounding out our row 10.
Yeah, and then over the page, everybody's going to be trying to make sure that they get themselves through. You've got drivers like Arturo De Villa, Bruno Albino, Kalle Ranton's a bit down the order, so too Sir Alan Toon. And you got a number of drivers who didn't set a time, including Mateo Camus, Lorenz Den Ouden didn't get a time in, nor did Brett Ride, and David Mitchell as well. It is the 2 minutes to get themselves gridded up here, or they will start from that place called pit lane. But with everybody gridded up early, the green flag is in the air, and we are underway. 25 minutes here in the Club Series at Silverstone to decide who's got what. It's a good start from pretty much everybody. Horn will have to be defensive here in towards the opening corner because Bisserov is on that outside. They charge at Copse Corner then for the first time in these 25 minutes, and Bisserov carrying the speed as well. One car's going to go way off the road. It's one of the 3 wide racing cars. That might be Nuno Ricciardo, it is, who's off the road. But as they charge on down to Maggots and that hook right that they will take onto the club straight, it is crucially Christian Bisserov, as he did last month.
Christian Bisserov looking awfully strong here to begin with. Carl, we got to say, though, Carlos Horn coming up behind in that slipstream, gaining massively. We're looking here, though, at Victor Oliveira trying to battle back for that P3. Is it going to be onto that outside line, looking for the late on the brakes. He had the speed, goes for the cutback, isn't able to make it work, has to go back on the defensive and check that rear view mirror.
Yeah, that's Luis Suarez in 3rd position, who is doing pretty much everything. Look at how aggressive it gets in the middle. There's one car that's going to be off. That's David Geddes there to smoke in the background. So that's going to be trouble for the 027, who's now going to have to trickle through the gravel to get back out and racing again. But at least as one lap goes through, it's been relatively decent here. The gap's starting to form. Here's a bit of side-by-side. It's Martin Schmidt and Bruno Lisboa who's looking to try and get this sorted round the outside by Mr. Lisbon. Here trying to get it sorted, but Martin Schmidt holds his ground on that inside line. He's doing everything he wants to try and hold that station. He gets it sorted under braking.
My goodness, they were side by side for about a half a lap there. Incredible racecraft. Oh, and he does go wide there, does Martin Smith, the Dutchman. Gonna have to go back onto the defensive again from Bruno Lisboa, and there's contact in a car round into the barrier here.
Stephen Orrell.
Unfortunately, it's gonna be, Stephen Orrell there, the Brit, into the wall. There is one new car, not a faster pair, but able to come into the pits and take that. There's a car stranded off into the grass. They're having a picnic. I'm not sure who that was.
It's so easy to get yourself caught up in trouble. And we saw that. Stefan Alderding dropping down the order like a stone. It was him who had a little bit of contact, actually, from Damian McMullen, who was searching for the move. So that's why he's dropped so far down the order. Christian Bisserov sets the fastest lap of the race, 106.447 then, as they all charge through the open corner. This is Tom Weston here in 15th place now, trying to find his opportunity. And look at how much they are battling here, right in front of him right now. The likes of Schmidt and Lisboa, the likes of David Balaj, and of course Nuno Ricciardo trying to recover. They're all going to be holding each other up here and allowing that group in front, which is currently the caboose of the tail, Thomas Martinez. That's going to be the key here. All these drivers going to look at it side by side for the race lead.
This is what you love to see with the MX5s. Down the inside there, Carlos Horn trying to take the lead. Looks like he is able to do it for now. Can he hold on, though?
He's got it there sorted. Whoa, that's a wide line taken there by Michael Elliott and co there. Victor Oliveira, it would have been now trying to go through. So that is a big shake-up that goes through. Michael Elliott now on the wrong side of Woodcock, but at the front, 1, 2, and 3. Here comes Luis Suarez then in the 3-wide racing car. Thinks better of it, falls back into line through the opening corner. Horn having a little look then with Christian Bisserov, and he can't necessarily clear it away. Marimon on the back of the group sets the fast lap of the race. It is 7 who are away at the front. If you want to count McMullen and Martinez, it's a group of 9 that leads this race.
My goodness, Luis Suarez here trying to do whatever he can. There's contact in the back, though, behind. He does not care about that. The only focus ahead. Oliveira seems to be going backwards in this race. I think he was involved with that. The number 9 driver now back into P9 side by side, trying to gain that position back from Thomas Martinez. I think he is able to get it for now, but it has not been a good start here for Victor Oliveira.
Well, he just ran into the back of his positive Delta teammate, Michael Elliott. It's rule 1 of sim racing, do not hit your teammate, and he paid the price for it. That was Alexander Nikolov there making the pass on Michael Elliott, jumping that position in towards 4th place. And that has opened up this group. All of a sudden, there is that breathing room now for Luis Suarez to go out and attack, and he will certainly think about it. And this second group now's got to work it together because that gap is suddenly 1 second out here in the road. There is Suarez looking for the pass on the Rosso machine of...
And I'm not sure why Luis here,
Carlos Horny can't quite find a way past the Brazilian at the moment. Handy of him, he puts his Twitch handle there on the inside.
You love to see that, I gotta say. But it's just been, he's been very, very eager here, Luis Suarez. Looking for any sort of opportunity he can find. There's still 19 minutes and 50 seconds left of this race. Anything can happen in racing, and it normally does. This is going to be the look, though. Heads it down the inside, has the momentum, and this should be signed, sealed, and delivered, and it looks like it is.
Well, it's his, and that will put then Luis Suarez up in second behind. Big power look from Alexander Nikolov, who will now move his way back forward compared to Michael Elliott. Now, it is his teammate, of course, who does lead this group outright in Christian Bisserov. So this is a key battleground that you're seeing at the moment. He is now trying to defend as much as he can with the positive Delta car. And you've got to look up the front because all of a sudden, look at that. Whoa, Luis Suarez is on a mission. He's going to take the race lead. Big slide there from Nikolov on the AstroTurf on the outside of Cops. That's going to open it up for 1, maybe 2 to try and find that move, as there goes Bisserov round the outside looking for the race lead. You're going to need eyes everywhere in this race.
This is absolutely incredible. Everywhere you look, there is action. Here we see side by side for the race lead still. Luis Suarez was leading this, well, Christian, I should say, was leading us at the beginning. Luis managed to take it. Here is the challenge back for it. Down the inside goes Christian, but the outside line is strong. He keeps the momentum, he keeps the speed, and he keeps the inside line. Is he going to hold it? There's contact behind them once again, but that does not faze them.
It doesn't, and that was Nikolov and Pedro Marimon giving each other receipts out there on circuit, so there's definitely some drama there as Marimon tries to do his best Ryan Hunter-Ray impersonation. For the first time this race, Suarez takes a lap lead there, almost 3 wide, in towards Cop's corner, and on the outside there's a bit of contact for Bisserov. Carlos Horn will find his way forward then and move up into second position. Here comes Michael Elliott, who has been a sleeping lion at this moment in time. He's ready to prowl and find his position up into third, but this is the corner where Bisserov has been at his best, and in ultimacy, he's not going to be able to find that line at the moment, but everyone now follows the Serpentine. They all want Slipstream.
Absolutely. That was actually a really good line from Bisserov. That wasn't necessarily him going on the offense there to attack Carlos Horn. He was actually going on the defense from Michael Elliott, a little bit of an offensive, defensive move, but this is fully offensive. As we see there, a bit of bumping and banging as they head on in towards the final corner complexes. Christian Bisserov has found himself in P2 for now, but I sense that these top 3 are not sealed by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, I think Carlos Horn was expecting Luis Suarez to be halfway through the corner, and ultimately Suarez had just planted it on the apex. Nothing Horn could do, so he had to take a double take, and by the time he wanted to turn back for his line, there was Christian Bisserov. He was straight back through. He wasn't taking no for an answer. No, sir, he definitely was not. There have been some big movers in this field in the early going. Sandavara, one of the best of them. He's up 7 places currently, 20th to 13th. Damian McMullen, who's currently languishing in 5th place here in this main group, he's up 6, and it might be 7 here as he gets a fantastic run.
This is incredible. I gotta say, these cars, so fun to see. A lovely livery as well there from McMillan. Nice, bright, and vibrant. We are gonna be checking out a little bit of a replay here as we see a lead change potentially there ahead of us, but my goodness, just any chance you look. Here's the number 7 Mazda. Very deep, best Sum 41 impression. Oh, slipping and sliding, caught it in slow-mo. And he just misses. My goodness, that was a bit of a brown pants moment for the car in front.
Well, Weston finds himself absolutely smashed up there on that run between turns 1 and 2. That was the biggest disaster he was not looking for. They do have unlimited fast repair, so as many times as you break it, you have the opportunity to get back in the race. Obviously, the time to tow the vehicle will keep you out of contention. Here goes Bisserov straight to the outside. He's got so much confidence on the brakes into turn 2. There's no doubt that he takes the race lead back once again, but Suarez isn't going to take no for an answer, nor is Carlos Horn, who's looking to really attack then on this run. Look at the shake, trying to get rid of this toe. It's going to be tough here for Bisserov to manage. Outside line looking then from Luis Suarez, trying to steal it. Horn looking for the inside, doesn't quite find that angle. But every time they have that look, it's all about the patience play. It's okay being at the front, but you want to be at the front at the end of these 15 minutes. Brett Wright going for a ride.
Wow, my goodness, a very, safe rejoin to be fair, but definitely not quite the line that you'd like to be taking. Brett Wright, they're going for a ride indeed, but rejoin safely. P14 back up at the front. You'd think that this is the last lap of the race. Pretty much every single lap that we see. Bisserov, though, holding it for right now. Luis Suarez getting that slipstream as Bisserov weaves left and right, trying to break it. You can see those tail lights. Oh, a bit of a bump there as well through the corner. These cars can take it. That's the beauty of it. Obviously, they not quite the most aerodynamic cars. You don't see any massive wings or diffusers or splitters or fancy aerodynamic mumbo jumbo. This is all raw racing, as we see here from Damian McMillan.
Yeah, you got McMullen, who's there. Stefan Olderding sets the fastest lap of the race. McMullen trying to get down the inside in the Fleet ID car on the Rosso Esports machine of Carlos Horn. Can't quite find the angle, and so they have to play the patience game once again and wait for better opportunities to manifest, pushing almost on this straight, because the amount that they want to battle, this is going to be something that they're playing in mind. How much do I want one position compared to how much do I want to lose the train up front?
Obviously the answer as a strategic outlook would be, well, catch the front up, don't worry about each other until later. But trying to tell that to a racing driver can be in one ear, out the next most of the time, as we see the move side by side into Maggots and then back for the hairpin here. Not going to be able to seal it. Carries the momentum, though, massively. And this should be a pretty easy overtake, and it looks like it is.
I wouldn't say that just yet,
Oh,
because
you're
the
right,
slipstream is with Suarez and Bisserov, and look at that, falls back into line, can't quite confirm it. Now lap traffic's going to start playing its hand into this race at this point because of how short the run is on this circuit by lap time, so everyone's going to be scrambling about, looking to try and find a little bit of a position here, as round the outside tries Michael Ellis. Suarez runs off the road, he pushes a little bit deep. They may have just allowed Christian Bisserov the one thing you can't give him, and that's some time, and he's going to be away. So just about making the room there through the middle. There goes the push from Michael Elliott, and that will push him back up into 4th position. 0.8 of a second the gap at the front, now 0.6 as Carlos Horn gives chase.
My goodness, that was a very sketchy moment there with the back marker. You could fit a sheet of paper through, but not a credit card. as they tilt it back in. The back end there of that Mazda in front looking awfully sketchy, which is interesting. Once again, these are obviously front-wheel drive cars, so oversteer not going to be the biggest problem. What we saw there from the drivers in front, understeer, that's going to be the one that gets you.
Well, understeer is going to be the big time loser, but because everyone's going out there and being so aggressive on the limit with these cars, it is going to be something to keep in mind. As off the road goes Carlos Horn, and that will be one position gone. This might be the second. Round the outside again from Michael Elliott. Might be 2 in 2 laps, but he's going to push a little bit wide here. That's going to give Horn the inside. There's only one left-hander on this circuit, that being Brooklands. So to be on the right-hand side of the road normally pays dividends here. It'll be the long way around Copse Corner to confirm this. If that works with a positive delta car, and it will, Carlos Horn has to yield.
He yields for now, but he's going to be coming right back at it. 11 minutes and 13 seconds left to go. This is race 1, everybody. Keep in mind, there's plenty more action. If you guys are enjoying it here on GSRC, do hit that like and subscribe button. It is free. I see we got some cheers for Carlos in chat. We got some cheers for Team Sweat Sim Racing, as well as we have Sharkbait. Welcome everybody. And there is the move again. That's going to be Nuno Ricardo, down for P14.
It is. You got Brett Ride having that focus there in that 13th place, really trying to throw as much as he can forward. In fact, there's a lot of drivers in this group to keep in mind, and I think Brett Ride is the big one. That's Carlos Horn. That's Carlos Horn off the road in the gravel there at Brooklands. So that's a big off. You don't often see him like that. And he went down in for the inside, and he just lost it all on his own. He just got too happy through the corner. We'll take a look on the GSRC replay. Watch the limit of grip. He throws that car in and just doesn't have enough to keep it pointed in a straight line.
No, the front end really not complying there, unfortunately. Carlos Horn, we saw him struggling there a little bit earlier, at least in terms of grip, and I guess that was it. Maybe tire wear getting to him. You can see that line being very well used, as well as a car off rejoining there, the Castrol number 32. But still, everywhere you look, there is a battle on track. Victor Oliveira, who has fallen down the field quite a bit, definitely I think started in P3, now all the way down in 10th. Obviously, after hitting his teammate earlier on in the session, he might want to forget about that one, and so will the teammates, obviously. Side by side, though, heading on to the left-hander.
Yeah, trying to find that room at Brooklands corner to make that happen. There will be a car off the road. There'll be 2 off the road. Nikolov's off, so too Bruno Lisboa. And watch out for the rejoin here as they go through. Slipping through is Sandavara. He will just about avoid that, but as much as you're off the road, you still have the slow down penalty there, the iRacing in-game system to serve as well. So there might be time for Nikolov to give back. Same too for Bruno Lisboa, but Lisboa looks like he's back in line and he's okay. Alexander Nikolov still trying to serve penalty.
We'll see if he can make that happen in a reasonable manner. Obviously, it's tricky to do. We see him move again here. These are, I think, a battle of teammates, if I'm not mistaken, or at least a battle of the countrymen for now. Side by side, they are teammates into what would be Maggots and Beckett's, but just Maggots. Oh, and way too deep there again. It's a definite struggle for Carlos Horn at this stage of the race. The grip is not there for him.
No, he is really finding out what makes this circuit tough. He's trying to take all that he can. It's almost going to be 3 wide in front here. Vara having to leave a little bit of a door open for Nikolov there as they pushed forward. And then you've got Oliveira, the 2 teammates, Horn and Lisboa, and you've got David Balaj and Martin Schmidt, who are both waiting for an opportunity. So they're both trying to get themselves in the mixture, but it's a massive group. Meanwhile, as that happens, it's 1.2 or about 1 second at the front for Christian Bisserov. He's trying to really run away right now from Luis Suarez and Michael Elliott. The 2 need to work together to try and close him down. Otherwise, he's going to get 2 wins out of 2. Here comes Nikolov.
It's going to be a challenge, I will say, for those front runners to catch Bisserov at this stage. He seems very confident and his lap times are very consistent. This is Nikolov, though, who is, well, trying to hold on for dear life at this stage, or as they all go a little bit of bumping, a little bit of banging through the corners. Everybody able to live mostly deep, though, way too deep, and a big shove at that. Both drivers, though, getting the negative outcome, dropping 2 positions apiece. Down the inside, though, a bit of a wiggle on the outside. Oh, these drivers are on the limit.
Well, that was just a case there of trying to avoid the bridge on the outside. It was very nearly Oliveira into the bridge, and he had to leave the room there for Nikolov there as they went through. Bruno Lisboa got an absolutely almighty block on that straight, and that was pretty much what brought him into proceedings there. So everywhere you look, there's going to be opportunities. Here's Laurens Den Ouden looking for himself then a pass, but that's Pedro Marimon making his recovery and go through. Big slide by Den Ouden, and a big hit there in by Mark Tew. They're making that contact, so there's some work to do. Oliveira, once again, looking like he's got the opportunity to make some moves, and he will get that done. Around the outside, heading to turn 2, big blocks there, he's gonna go straight on. He got hooked on the quarter panel, and just like that, through back once again goes Alexander Nikolov, who's getting really aggressive here.
Oh my goodness, this, you could cut the tension with a knife at this point, but it is absolutely incredible. These drivers are battling every single lap. It is incredible. He's bumping, banging. This is actually a battle for P3 as it currently stands. Suarez on the chase here for Elliott. You mentioned earlier that Bisserov was the look if you want to win that race, obviously. I don't think that that is ringing in these ears of these drivers at this stage.
Well, they just lost half a second on that last lap, and Christian Bisserov, I think, has just been given the license to make the wings fly. He did himself some very good lap times. In fact, his fastest lap was that lap before previous, a 106.1. So the moment he's been given a gap, he's had the ability to run away. Now here is Oliveira. He's now back in 13th position with Brett Ride, the biggest mover in the field, the hard charger here today for gaining the most places, and he'll want to hold on to this one with Nuno Ricciardo there just behind. The 1P Motorsport car's looking, but so too is Luis Suarez there in the 3-wide racing machine on that outside, trying to find an angle on Elliott, but there's no way through right now. This is where you're going to have to be the thinking man's driver. You're going to have to really open up and hope that you've got an angle, as Bruno Lisboa tries to find out and can't quite get on Alexander Nikolov.
Oh, way too deep there, allowing the opportunity for Lisboa potentially on exit here. Needs to keep it calm, cool, and collected, but I think he had to lift there and isn't able to necessarily capitalize. This is incredible. It's so hard. I know you mentioned these drivers, they need to focus up a little bit, but obviously when you're seeing that red mist ahead of you, that is the position. Oh, my block. That was very, I mean, it's, obviously a little aggressive, but these cars, they can take it.
Well, if you drive with that level of intensity and aggressiveness, you do have to expect to give it back at some point. And Suarez now trying to get through all that battling here with Michael Elliott, and Damian McMullen is sat waiting for a podium here, trying to find that opportunity to gain one extra place. They will cross the line, and they'll be just under 4 minutes here, so that will be 3 laps worth of racing there or thereabouts when they cross. So there's certainly opportunities to find those places out there, but it's just a case of if and when. And you're just looking at the front of some of these Miatas out there. Those who've been a little bit happier to push do have the front a little bit worn in at the moment, those front fenders, so they've got to be a little bit careful about how much they're pushing onto the back. They can see it right there on the bottom of the grille of Luis Suarez.
Yeah, a little bit, not quite the most showroom ready in terms of the aerodynamics for that MX5. Obviously, this car is not quite the most aerodynamic in general. Checks up, though, to that bumper every single corner. Lets him know, I'm here. I'm not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. Has a good exit, has the slipstream. Is this going to be the moment here? Obviously, running out of laps is Luis Suarez. Needs to get it done sooner rather than later. Checks to the inside here. The gap is there. Needs to go late onto the brakes. Oh, the gap gets closed, though, mid-corner. I think there might have been some rubbing, but it seems that Luis Suarez has made it stick.
Well, the key there was that he took full advantage of Michael Elliott being really passive in the overtake. And because of that, that is comfortable for Suarez. Yes, there was a bit of wing mirror to wing mirror, but you'd say you wouldn't mind that too much, just because you sat there with Michael Elliott going, you know what, I'll try and get this back in the next couple of laps, in the next 2.5 minutes of this race. That's going to be Bruno Lisboa coming out of the pits. He had the black and orange mechanical flag, known colloquially as the meatball, which he had to repair within 4 laps, so he decided to dive down into the pits. but as they rush through Maggots to the left and now in towards the hairpin, there's the hook, and Damien McMullen will take Michael Elliott for a ride.
Yeah, that is not quite what you wanted to see here. Michael Elliott only drops one position, thankfully, and holds on for now. Damien McMillan has the open road ahead of him now to Luis Suarez. Is he going to be able to capitalize on that?
Well, there's going to be questions up and down this order. Mackenzie Mann, who is often a great overtaker in these races. Look at this. This is sat with Brett Wright, who's got the weight of the world behind him, up 18 places in this race. Victor Oliveira, who, lest we forget, was second row of the grid. He looked good. There's a bit of argy-bargy behind as well between Nuno Ricciardo and Mackenzie Mann on the brakes. It shows everyone wants a place.
Everyone wants to gain that last little position here at the very end, obviously. It is down to the wire here. We're going to be approaching that white flag lap. I think that's going to be the next time around for Bisserov. All of these drivers with 2 more here to complete. Oliveira on the charge, but he just hasn't had the grip, I think, that he's wanted. Maybe got a setup error. Sends it to the inside here, and it's get a little bit more of a... He backs out. I think the confidence just isn't there for the Brazilian here tonight.
No, it's not, and they're all running a fixed setup, so everyone's machine is exactly the same, so there are no arguments about it. Bruno Albino takes a huge tap, and I think that'll be that for him, so he'll drop out of server with that moment. That not what was ideal. There's the Scotsman David Mitchell, who's looking for an opportunity to gain an extra place as well and try and find his passes. Wherever you look, there are opportunities, but we are now coming towards that white flag lap. At this moment in time, Mann finds himself pretty much sat in position here in the middle of this group, looking for a way forward with Nuno Ricciardo and Victor Oliveira.
Checks that inside line. It's not going to happen. The other drivers are able to close that in time here, approaching that final lap. Saw some tire smoke ahead. I think that was maybe just some gravel getting kicked up momentarily. Its drivers have been all over the track. We do have a replay here we're going to be taking a quick look at here. The final lap is upon us, though.
We'll have to be quick. This is Arturo Davila here going through, and the car just losing out, and that's a really weird one there. That looks like that's technical there from Davila, and troubles for him, but no such troubles for this driver, Christian Bisserov. When it came to Okayama, he walked away from the field. He's had to struggle a little bit more here at Silverstone, but it's going to be same results apply. Rushing out of left field, heading through Woodcote Corner. It is back to back for Bisserov as he will drive to the line and he will take his second consecutive here in the Club Series.
Dominant and a nice flourish to boot. As we see behind him, Luis Suarez comes to the line in P2. Definitely not a result to shake a stick at. Damien McMillan seemingly thrilled with it as well. Oh, big contact here on the final lap, and that is Nuno Ricciardo, as well as I think Oliveira that got caught up in that potentially.
That looked like some hero ball trying to get by Brett Wright. It didn't work, and ultimately he got turned around at the end. So some big dramas then coming towards the end of this first race here, and of course the first of the races that we've got of 3. This is the only one at Silverstone. We've got 2 more coming up. We will be jumping over the channel for that to Zolder as they go through, but with almost everybody now across the line, we've got a chance to quickly run through the results here of this race here from the national circuit of Silverstone. But we'll take one quick replay before we do. Look at it. He's trying to push for the inside here, Mike, but he just overcooked it.
Yes, he most certainly did. And unfortunately, the number 25 there more or less had a chicane in the middle of the road for him that he wasn't expecting, and not much to do there, but that is going to be that.
It is. It will be. Christian Bisserov then unofficially will find a result. That's the qualifying results there, which are up on your screen right now of how everybody qualified their way forward. But the race was won by Christian Bisserov, and he won by 3.3 seconds over Luis Suarez in that second place. Damien McMullen finishes 3rd ahead of Michael Elliott, with Thomas Martinez in 5th and Rene Zegelar in 6th. Sandavara would gain 13 places in that race. He would jump up to 7th, with Alexander Nikolov 8th. Carlos Horn would finish 9th, Martin Schmidt rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, Brett Wright in P11. Mackenzie Mann going to be taking home 12th, with David Geddes in P13. Alvaro Rodriguez 14th, and Cale Retinen, apologies, in P15. Nuno Ricardo taking home 16th, with Victor Oliveira dropping all the way down to P17. Pedro Marimon in 18th, Mark II in P19, and rounding out top 20 is going to be David Mitchell.
One final driver on the leading lap was Lorenz Den Ouden. Bruno Lisboa would be the first one a lap down, so too. So Alan Toon and David Balaj. Arturo de Vilo ran into trouble, so too did Tom Weston. Stefan Olderding, maybe. We'd expected more from the driver who came into today, second in the championship. This will be a drop with Bruno Albino, Leon Vortas, Sergio Duarte, and then Stephen Orrell making the 31 drivers here today, finding themselves with their racing. We're going to step aside for just one moment here. When we come back, we'll get some fallout here from the Club Series, and we'll be on it when it comes to action as Division 2's MX5 Simify World Sim Series is with you after this. a very different scene that we have right now. We've gone from the flat of Silverstone over to maybe a slightly less flat, but there is quite an element of flat here at Zolder. This, a circuit that has hosted on the Formula One stage. This, the perfect circuit, I would say, for great racing and the style of racing that's here today. We've got Division number 2. That'll be coming up here with your Simify MX5 World Sim Series in just a few moments' time. But before we jump on over and get into that, we do have a few drivers here waiting for interview. We've got Damien McMullen, who had a fantastic showcase out there in that race at Silverstone. He stood by with Mike Naus.
Yeah, Damien, Mike Naus here. How's it going?
How's it going? Keeping well now after that one? Jesus.
That was, yeah, a bit of a handful, I would say, for you out there. Obviously, a bit of bumping, bit of banging throughout, but all in all, you had an amazing show finishing with a P3. I mean, it must feel pretty good.
Geez, after all that racing, like when qualifying was happening with the one hot lap thing, I was like, oh no, I really did a bad qualifying. But then I said, right, just put the head down and just keep going. And if anything happens, it happens. And yeah, if I touched anyone, I do apologize. But yeah, look, it was just rubber racing, but we keep going on, as they say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you were, if there was contact, I can't think of anything specific, but definitely you wouldn't be the only one out there in these cars, obviously able to take a bit of contact. Now, I'm sure you've had your fair share of experience driving other series, but these MX5s, they're just a little bit different. Can you put that into perspective for some of these people that maybe don't quite know what it's like out there?
Oh, it's just one of the best cars to learn in terms of in iRacing, because this is the rookie championship where everyone starts in iRacing if you want to do circuit racing. But these MX5s are really good to learning how to control the car and how to know if you're going to lose it, how to catch it and everything. So it's a great learning car to learn.
Yeah, absolutely, and super fun overall. Now, obviously, we're going to be heading on here into Zolder. Is this a track you're looking forward to?
Not one bit at all.
Well, I appreciate the honesty, Damien. Before we let you go, Damien McMillan, obviously, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
I just want to thank my sponsors, Potato Nation and Fleet.ie and Newtone, and to all my friends who have been keeping an update on me over the last month or so, and to yourselves and MX5 crew. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you. Once again, Damien McMillan, P3 in the round 1 here tonight.
Couldn't have asked for much better than that, but we take our head over to Zolder, a fantastic circuit which has shown so much in terms of the years and now is a staple on the GT calendar more than anything else. Let's get a little bit of a look at this track, which we'll see for the final 2 races of tonight, and we'll get another look with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Zolder, a temporary home for the Belgian Grand Prix in the 70s and 80s. In present day, it's mainly used for GT and lower-level formula racing. The track sits in the northeast corner of the country near Hasselt, nestled right up against the Albert Canal. The 2 raceable layouts are essentially the same, save for the tightness of the Jackie Ick chicane. Both are just under 2.5 miles and have 10 turns. While the track had some sadly infamous moments for Formula One, it remains a popular venue. Its most notable feature is the plethora of chicanes that scatter the lap. The slowdown penalties drivers receive for cutting the course at them can tend to be race-defining. But more worrisome are the monstrously large curbs parked at the apexes that have been known to tear apart wings and suspensions. Passing tends to be difficult, with only 2 spots offering out braking zones that aren't into chicanes. The Boulderberg hairpin is the easier of the 2, while Erst is a medium-speed, downhill, off-camber 90-degree turn. To say it proves troublesome to get right, even when not in a battle, is an understatement. While the lap opens up with many of those swift, wide-radius corners, the rest of the turns are almost all hard braking zones. High-powered cars with little downforce do need to be careful between the Kleine chicane and Butte, because there's a large crest that can catch you out. Winning here will require precision and patience. Belgian fans may have the more famous Spa to choose from, but you can't go wrong with the consistently good action this track puts forward.
Zolder is very much this tightly packaged circuit, and that's what makes it so difficult. It's very much got that street circuit vibe to it on a road, and you are driving it about here through the Belgian trees. This is one of those beautiful tracks which effectively it's you go up and you go across and you go back. this is probably as grassroots of a track as it gets here.
I've heard it described before as Monaco with the walls, or with the grass, that is. Obviously, this 2.4-mile circuit founded back in 1963, located here in Zolder, Belgium. 2.4 miles, 4.0 kilometers. It has 15 corners, 6 to the left, 9 to the right, and 19 meters of elevation, 63 feet in total. Not much really at all. Obviously, a little bit more than we saw at Silverstone, as you'd briefly mentioned, Jake, but still quite the flat track and a real exciting one here tonight.
You'll see the elevation up over the top after the Klein chicane, which is one of the key corners to get right on this track. Your other great places to make moves are into the Est corner, which is turn 1, and then you've got, of course, that Klein chicane, turn 5, and effectively the Villeneuve chicane and Terlemen corner. That entire complex known as turn 7 is going to be a really important place to get correct here today. Opportunities knock. This is Division 2 that we sit in at the moment, and these drivers here, Mike, had to go last week through pre-qualification. If you are inside the top half, you get that golden ticket. You're up in the top split. You're scoring top split points. These drivers here a little bit further down, you're looking at the numbers. I'm looking at Kalle Kavisto. I'm looking at the likes of Philip Scriffignano. Those drivers who have got a very low number next to their name are in the division split they do not want to be in.
Yeah, and it's going to be a bit of a challenge for them moving forward, obviously, looking ahead for them, but as it stands, it'll be quite the battle. But as we have it here, just taking a look at circuit, that is going to be Kavisto out there. Currently, without a lap, he's going to be heating up those tires and getting ready.
He is. Most of these drivers on their outlaps at the moment, rushing up over the top of the hill, heading through this sweeper over towards the Terlemen complex. This is a circuit that will be near and dear to many sim racers' hearts, as this, of course, is the charity circuit, so to speak, which is hosted every year by Jimmy Broadbent and is one of the most amazing charity drives out there that sim racing has to offer. And it's often something that you get and understand, Mike, is that it's not just sometimes about the racing and who's quickest, it's about that community and getting together, and that's what we see in a track like Zolder. Well, I've seen many people fall apart at this track, but it's one where the community definitely does rally around this track.
Oh, absolutely. A very famous circuit back. Obviously, I know when people think of the Belgian circuit, they obviously think of Spa-Francorchamps, a bit more popular. But Zolder, they obviously race GT cars here, where personally I'm very familiar with. I love watching GT cars on this circuit. Very tight, very twisty. Lots of contact going to be expected, as there really isn't much room. A lot of drivers sharing the same piece of tarmac, and there's not too many racing lines if you want to maximize that minimum speed, which is absolutely crucial in these MX5s.
Jarno Larray very nearly finding himself off the road in the Digitrack Sim Racing Team car at turn 4. Lucian Bianchi corner, of course. That is the uncle of the late Jules Bianchi, the Marussia driver who lost his life at Suzuka, which would have been now at this point a decade ago, which is scary to say. There's Melvin Tyne for Sweat Sim Racing. He's trying to really push forward, gain his opening lap time on the board. 62 on his car. It's top 40 that is the big number to keep in mind. You've got to be inside the top 40 by the end of the season. That will book your ticket to the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca.
Yeah, obviously the drivers are going to be really looking forward to that. Big prizes on the line, and that is really what it's all about. But as you'd mentioned earlier, I want to touch on as well, you mentioned the community aspect of sim racing. It is probably, if not the most important aspect in terms of how you learn, how these drivers make friends with each other out on track and in the discords and in communities, and share, obviously, skills. They share setups. Well, not in this case, fixed setups in the MX5s, but beside the point, you get what I'm saying. It's all about learning in this very fun world of sim racing. It can be quite intimidating, but getting into those communities is where you can find it.
First time's coming through, and it's Stefan Dumas who's quickest, but Jarno Larray goes better despite the small mistake that he had out there on track. 47.2, tying to the line, 47.8. That will be good enough to go fourth fastest with that one, but it looks like he may have had an off track there on his lap, so that might not have counted. Sandavara's gone fifth. Christian Hinch has gone fourth, but he's jumped down by Kalle Kavisto. He watched the Jamaican driver, Charles Kellyman. He's gone second fastest with his lap. Great work from the optical driver. Here's Roy Charles and the Roy Charles Racing Machine. The Malaysian now looking for some lap time.
Let's see what he can put on the board here. Currently on 120 lap times here. Pole position 147.2. 2.5 tenths separating between Lorette and Kellyman. It's quite a difference as it stands. Obviously, in the previous qualifying, we saw some extremely tight margins, less than the blink of an eye, less than half the blink of an eye separating our top three. We'll see if that changes here by the end. 5 minutes to go and 1 lap for these drivers. Roy Charles onto the exit here and onto the straight.
Yeah, he's really trying to work hard through Jackie X to maximize that lap, and he gets a 51.7, all things considered. It'll be classed down as a 51.685, so that's 22nd at the moment. Looking at drivers who are out there, Roberto Bruno currently out there on a flying lap in the Rosso Esports car, and here at the Boulderberg hairpin, he's really trying to maximize it down under 80k. So easy to take too much off of the exit curve there through Jochen Rindt, of course the only posthumous Formula One champion, and then to Jackie X here, this final chicane, running the full layout of the chicane. It's a 90 left into a 90 right. This will be a track which prioritizes acceleration, and Roberto Bruno, number 30 on his car for where he is in the championship, pushes towards the line, and he absolutely puts a lovely time down. That's good enough for the third row of the grid.
Not bad for the number 30 car. Definitely will be patting himself on the back for that. A little bit more time on the board, potentially through those final few chicanes, tighten that lineup, as you'd mentioned. These tracks, Oliver, this track in particular, very much about acceleration, which this car is not particularly good at, obviously. It's all, it is 155 brake horsepower, 0 to 60 in about 6.5 seconds. But that is really what makes these cars so fun. It's all about trying to carry that speed where you're able to get on that throttle and back up to speed again before you have to do it all over.
Yeah, it's all about the tactical, and there are 2 drivers out there getting ready to start their flyers. This is the second of them, René Zegeler, who's there, and there's Philip Scriffignano. They're the German driver who's looking to really ratchet something beautiful up on the board. He's inside the top 40 in the championship. His number 31, would indicate that. Jarno Lorraine, number 40 car, is the bubble essentially at this moment in time, and he finds himself on the pole, so he's currently happy at the moment, 3/10 clear of pretty much everyone else. Rushing through the first corner and in towards Sternbach here, the observatory bend, this long right-hander, and it's like an age eternal going through this opening section, because these rights follow one after another, each slightly different to the next.
Yeah, this corner here, one of the most important on the track. You have to maximize that minimum speed and use all of the track available here onto the exit, heading down towards the Klein chicane. You're going to see quite a few overtakes here as well, I predict, in the racing. Slipstream going to be awfully strong, looking for that braking marker off to the left-hand side there. Sends it into the chicane, catches a good amount of curb, potentially on entry there. Can use a little bit more, though it can get dangerous. Those cars obviously very light. Those curbs will, well, start racking up your frequent flyer miles quite quickly.
Certainly will. He's got Neven Subotic there on the side of the car for his work that he's been doing. Of course, the former Borussia Dortmund football player, or soccer player in your case, Mike, out there is now, here comes the push up over this small crest. The small left-hander leads to the Boulderberg hairpin, which leads, of course, to the small town of Boulderberg. There is the health centre on the left-hand side there for any issues that are out there. And now it's all about straight lining here through turn 9 without too many troubles at all there. That was Jochen Rindt, and now pick your braking marker, use the bridge as your main section of where you can attack through that final chicane. Very easy to overshoot the first part of the chicane, which does compromise the second. But is this good enough from Philip Scriffignano to jump up the order? Answer as he crosses the line. So 47.4, he found the front row.
Not bad. Wow, incredible lap there. Even though there was a bit more on the line too. I bet that pole position was there for Scriffignano. Unfortunately, isn't able to find it, but he is not going to be unhappy with that result. We're going to see here if René Zegeler can answer. Currently through the final chicane here and onto the straight. As he heads to the line, what is it going to be for the Dutchman? It's going to be close. It's going to be very close. No, not quite. 149, unfortunately. That's good enough for P11.
Well, it's more than that. It's P17.
Or 17, excuse me.
He's going to be credited with there. It's a 48.9, so he really does drop back. That will be everyone then here in qualifying, and that will once again take us over to the SimRacing starting grid, your one-stop shop for all your sim racing gear. You can choose from iconic brands and bundles in an array of physical hardware to get your leg up on the competition. SimRacing ships worldwide, and also they have those 2 sim racing centers in Madrid and in Barcelona. Head over to www.simify.com/MX5WSS to have your discount applied automatically on your sim racing purchases today. Link down in the description. Qualifying will officially be classed then as complete, and the grid will look as follows. Jarno Lorey will be on pole position with Philip Scriffignano alongside for company. It then follows Charles Kellyman, and in 4th position, Kalle Cavisto at this moment in time, with Martin Sampson 5th and Roberto Bruno 6th. Stefan Dumas will go from 7th along with Mathieu Camus in 8th. Christian Hinch and Sander Vara make the top 10.
And Alexander Longue in P11 with Eduardo Gropp in P12. We have row 7 here belonging to Matt Tempest as well as Mick Robinson. Behind them is going to be in P15 Peter Gossens with Nick Debeck company in 16th there on row 8. Row 9 belonging to Rene Ziegler as well as Michael Tangretta. And row 10 bringing Melvin Turin and Martin Smith.
The rest of those drivers are looking for work here today with Damian McMullen, James Shrimpton down the order. Green flag, though, in the air here from Zolder, and we are off. Lorey with a pretty decent start. Charles Kellyman from 3rd got a great launch here as they head towards the first corner. Out here, this very interesting left-hander. It's a double apex entry as they rush through, so it's very easy to get caught up. And speaking of which, we're going to have it right in front of the field, pulling away to one side. Big drama on the opening lap, but it's just a single car incident that catches out at this point. Clear, though, it goes at the front of the field, but disasters further back as they went on forward.
That could have been extremely dangerous, and it looks like the danger continues on as a car flies off in the background into the kitty litter. Up at the front, though, the drivers are not phased. We see Philip Scriffignano holding on to that P1 as Jarno Lorette tries to dethrone him. Charles Kellyman, though, as well, trying to keep his... Whoa, my goodness! Sends the nose up the inside into the chicane there. Jarno not able to find anything, but Charles Kellyman, I think he may smell blood in the water.
Look, it's a single line corner through the Klein chicane just because of how much air you pick up over those curves. Into the Villeneuve chicane, they all charge along. Scriffignano, your race leader. Lorey in 2nd. Kellyman back there in 3rd place. But up and down the order, it's about finding that position. We've got a bit of side-by-side out there as dropping a little bit of time right now is said Charles Kellyman. I reckon he's got a slow down penalty. He does.
Oh, you hate to see it, and having to give up quite a few positions as a result. Down to P10. He will be looking forward, though. He definitely has the pace. We've seen that to make up the positions, but it's one thing to catch. It's another thing to overtake, especially here at Zolder. Very high-speed circuit. You're going to need to make some pretty bold lunges.
You are, and that has dropped him back behind Edward Gross out on circuit. So he has certainly lost a lot of time out there. There's Roberto Bruno in 4th, but one lap, quite scarily, score complete then here at Zolder. Sampson has made his way up to 3rd then on this one, and he is going to be the one giving chase. He's already lost 1.2 to Jarno Lorey and Philip Scriffignano, who are out there at the front as they push on now towards the observatory bend. Turn 2 out here on circuit. There's Scott Angelo looking at this in the Maradness M Squad car. Of course, that's going to be very much a case of him trying to hold on, but he's going to lose 2 places here potentially. McMullen was the 1st, and Michael Tangretta is the 2nd.
Yeah, unfortunately, Scott from down under gets shoved down under there. Is going to have to make that back up, unfortunately, but don't count him out at this current moment. Up ahead here, we have Sonder. Wow, what an aggressive move across track, and everyone's fine.
Everybody's somehow
close.
Able to hold that station. Sander Vara very much running off the circuit there and back up the hill. You got to keep your eyes out. Christian Hinch is going to be in this mix too. He's looking to try and gain some places out there on circuit there in the Mind Art racing car, but I'm sure we're going to get a little look and see exactly how that went wrong for Sander Vara. He just pushed a little bit wide. This is the start though, so this is Mathieu Camus in the BB1 sim racing car. He just gets hooked, lined and sinkered with the quarter panel, just has to go around with everything. I wonder if that rear suspension potentially collapsed on his rear.
It looked like there was maybe a bit of netcode contact that took the bumper off. Thankfully, I think the other dark blue MX5 managed to survive, but as we don't see him in that position or anywhere in the top 10, it looks like, well, we'll see. But up at the front, Jarno Lorette still on charge here, half a second behind. He seems fairly comfortable at this stage, not wanting to make any bold moves with 21 minutes left to go. He has time, he has patience on his side here, and I'm sure we'll see some striking a little bit later.
Yes, but there are bonus points on offer as well for the fastest lap for the pole position, which Jarno Lorette has picked up. Cali Cavisto now with that fastest lap in 5th position. Those will be a couple extra bonus points just onto the race lead as we look at Melvin Tyne. And all of a sudden at the front, there's Jarno Lorette, picked the pocket at Observatory, tries to take it at Canal, but here at Lucien Bianchi, has he got the way forward to get that move done? Yes, he does. Scriffignano falls in line, but he's going to get a run off the exit. And look at the bum drafting here on the back stretch from Martin Sampson. He wants Scriffignano at the front.
Yes, he does, and he sacrifices his run actually to send Scriffignano to the front, and it works numbers. I'm not sure if those two are currently working together, if that was intentional, but that was a stellar move from our perspective. We have a bit of a scrap behind as well. Bruno coming under threat here from, I think, the Finnish driver there of Kale. Kale has managed to work his way into these positions quite handily as well.
Yeah, Cali is doing a very good job with Roberto Bruno just in front. He's just keeping himself in play, minding his P's and Q's at this moment and keeping himself very much in the hunt over the crest into the Boulderberg hairpin. They now look to charge, and Mackenzie Mann for Simtech round there at the Villeneuve chicane, and that's a long way to get back going. There's Pieter Hussens as well. He's looking to try and make some progress.
Yeah, it's currently in P25. He's got a lot of ground to make up, and obviously just arriving at the scene of the crime there. Oh, Sampson has spun.
Out of the corner then, through the final chicane, Martin Sampson has dropped like a brick. He's now 13th, 14th now. Melvin Tyne's through.
And it looks like there's some damage picked up on that Mazda. Doesn't seem to be too much, but getting caught up in something, it seems. Maybe a light brush with the wall, I think. Or even potentially contact with another vehicle.
I think he just ran up the back of Lorette. I think that's the issue he's got. Stefan Dumas is now going to look for a move here. He's dropped one. He's almost dropped a second. Christian Hinch here trying to go around the outside, pick up another one. Alexandre Longo has stolen a march here on this lap. So Stefan Dumas, it's only the one, but here's the switchback off of Lucien Bianchi. Now heading to that Klein chicane again. Difficult on the outside, but if you can hold it around there, you just completely take the advantage of the inside of the next corner. Beautifully worked by Hinch.
Not even necessary for the next part of the corner. That was just a full-on send. This is going to be the replay here for Martin Sampson. Let's see what happened here that resulted in him falling down the field. Currently keeping an eye there on that black and white. Looks like it did tap the back of the green there. As a result, the car comes around and just has to pull off track and rejoin safely.
Yeah, Martin Sampson will be kicking himself. He's the sort of driver who's been in MX5s for a very long time. This is his bread and butter. This is what he runs iRacing for, is this style of racing, and he always wants to do the best he can in that optical car. He'll be kicking himself with that sort of mistake. He's through on Melvin Tyne, but look at the gap now between him and Rene Zegelar on circuit. That's about 3 seconds he'll have to chase down. 17 minutes, 45 seconds remaining in this Division 2 race of the Simify MX5 World Sim Series. Chases on up and down. Top two have got away. Here goes Jarno Lorette down the inside. Little bit of biffo there with Philip Scriffignano, but it's the Belgian at the Belgian track who leads.
Yeah, Scriffignano not really wanting to comply there when he went for the overtake, but he left the gap wide open, so allowing Jarno to fully make that overtake pretty easily. He is going to be coming back at him, forcing the lift there into the next corner, and that is going to really affect the momentum of Scriffignano behind now. You can see breaking the slipstream from Jarno. Jarno might feel a little bit of a wave of confidence here that we haven't seen just yet from him.
Well, you can see it, the way he's aggressive over the Klein chicane, and he's picked up a slowdown penalty by being too aggressive there. He'll be deemed as cutting the course. Scriffignano's going to pick up the race lead once again, and he's going to have to be very choice in the way he serves that penalty now as Loré. If he's lucky, he'll bring Roberto Bruno back in. The longer that you serve, the more likely you're going to have to slow down more. This is just Christmas right now. He finally gets the serve sorted, and he hasn't lost too much time. Only 0.7 of a second to Scriffignano, but he's brought Bruno, Cavisto, and Longo back into the mix. Almost contact there at Boulderberg.
Wow. Okay, Robert Bruno there, a little bit late onto the brakes, managing to get it stopped in time, did find that middle pedal. We see a battle behind between Nick Debeck as well as Charles Kellyman, actually, who is in P9 currently. Under threat here as they head on to the final chicane. It looks like they will be able to hold on for the current moment, but a bit of a struggle for Charles Kellyman, number 46 at this current moment. It's looked strong at the beginning, but has fallen down from there.
Yeah, he struggled with a couple slowdown penalties. That's what's really caught him down the order. There's the fast slaps coming in. Alexandre Longo with that little search to the inside there from Nick Debeck, part of the Digitrack Sim Racing team, along with Jarno Loré. So he's definitely searching for something out there. Can't quite find it at this moment in time. Now, one thing to know is that if these drivers don't have the race weekend that they really want here right now, at this moment in time, Mike, they will have 3 drop rounds over the course of this season. We might have someone who starts round 4 of the championship using all 3 of his drops by not turning up to the first 3 rounds and still be in contention for the title come Laguna Seca.
You know, you love to see those. They really make the championships competitive. They make it fun, and they make it, because, you know, obviously real life happens. You know, that's the one thing about sim racing. Obviously, everyone wants to be here for the most competitive events, but real life happens. You can't make an event here and there, and these leagues recognizing that and having a little bit of leniency for that, it really makes the championships more fun and able for you to stick it out all the way to the end.
Here's Christian Hinch, 7th place. He's looking for a way through at this moment in time because Stefan Dumas has made the pass on this lap. And if you look behind Dumas and Hinch, you've got Edouard Gross, who is there as well, who is also looking to chase and gain that extra position here, getting closer and closer to the Mind Arc racing car there in that 7th place. Everything's formed its own little pack out there at the moment. I think that's rather interesting in terms of the way this race has come out, because it's also right down here with the likes of Pieter Hossens in what is 23rd position, because he looks behind, that's going to be or in front of him, sorry, that's Willem van Rassel, who's trying to get through on Thomas Amoroso there for position. Amoroso's just going to give him just enough room through that section of road. And watch this then, where do you find the angle to attack? Heading towards that final corner on the brakes at Jackie Hicks, trying to make it happen around the outside. Amoroso leaves just enough room, but Van Rassel's not giving this one up.
No, he most certainly is not. And the answer to that is, well, you don't, quite frankly. You just sit and wait here if you're Peter Jossens. You really can't make a move. Here into the first corner, the opportunity will arise for a moment. He sends it a little bit too hard, though, straight into the back bumper of Van Rassel. Rejoins the track in a very unsafe... Ooh, my goodness. Great collision avoidance there from the number 58.
Yeah, that was Stephen Elder just about avoiding it. That could have ended so much worse than it did. It was a case of Van Rassel losing it on entry. Nowhere to go, really, out there for the other driver in that incident. So that could have been so dramatic. Now, talk about gainers here. This is the time we got to say it. There's Roy Charles in 14th place, started 26th. He's up 11 spots in this one. The biggest gainer currently, though, is Patrick Alders at this moment in time. He's up 12, but here's Jarno Loré. He's once again back on the rear of Philip Scriffignano and trying to suss out whether he can find the race lead once again.
They got a bit of a buffer as well to Bruno behind, so they can kind of do as they would like at this stage of the race. You can see, man, the 31 getting so much more rotation there into the corner than Loré, allowing, you can see that exit much more strong. Tucks to the outside or just the racing line for Loré, and I think he feels fairly comfortable at this stage, still in that P2. Looking for any mistake, trying to force Scriffignano into a bit of an off track, get as close as he can, maybe scare him, but it's not too much of a concern. Here we see, though, a very nice scrap between Christian Hinch, going extremely defensive here into the second corner.
Yeah, Stefan Demar losing out that place, not wanting to give it up. It's 3 right-handers, though, here for Stefan. So here through Canal, he's now going to have to try and pivot back to the inside. Doesn't really have that overspeed to make it happen. Edward Gross waits patiently behind, but he's not going to quite find it. There's the up and under. That's the line he was looking for. The run onto this back stretch, heading past the paddock towards that Klein chicane. Can he find it on that outside track to really make it happen? That's brilliant defense, though, on the brakes by Christian Hinch. But again, up the hill, same question will be asked at the Gilles Villeneuve chicane.
See if he can hold on here. Can see it as soon as he got through that corner, he got onto the throttle, the car rotating like no other. In fact, is it going to rotate enough for the chicane? It looks like it did. That is obviously something to keep in mind. We saw earlier, it's so easy to cut that chicane, which will result in that time penalty. You have to give up that time, which as a result will give up the positions. Here we have Callie, who's been driving incredibly at this stage of the race. P4 for the number 21.
He absolutely has. He's been someone who has been known very well in the Finnish sim racing scene for a very long time. Some even say he's one of the originals out there in terms of pace contact. Scriffignano's going to have to go skirting across the gravel. Him and Jarno Loré. This is perfect for Roberto Bruno. And we might have the Rosso Esports car up to the lead. The Digitrack sim racing team machine of Jarno Loré will now have to defend here at the first corner to try and cover this off. He will go screaming into the corner, but can he get it slowed up? Bruno up and unders him through the first corner. He'll go the long way around Observatory. Is covered again by Loré, who will somehow have the race lead.
My goodness, it's not done just yet. Robert Bruno for the switchback again, tucks to the inside, has contact, and he takes Jarno Loré out. That is huge. They managed to actually rejoin extremely quickly, all things considering, but that's going to be big damage picked up to our race leaders.
360, no scope, 3 places lost. Somehow, both of them continue on their scrap with that one spin out there, and what incredible car control to hold it together. My goodness me. Peter Reid also in his own race at the moment. He's continuing all the way back there with Thomas Amoroso and Pieter Hossens at this moment in time. Reid really trying to give some chase.
Peter Reid, the back bumper there is just stoved in. You can see these cars obviously with a little bit of bump draft, and there's some gravel kicked up, and it looks like a time penalty being given to the car on the inside. That is Loré. Again, overdriving that car. Jarno Loré maybe a bit flustered from the results that have happened side by side with his teammate. Now the car's behind. He's trying to send it on the inside. He's in a terrible spot. Wow,
yeah, I think he's just completely lost it. There it goes. Round will go his teammate Nick de Beck, who will get spun at Boulderberg through all the melee that is there, and ultimately nothing much he could do. Charles Kellyman, I think, was caught up slightly in that, and then down the inside goes Christian Hinch, looking for placement right now with Stefan Dumas here in this race on for 5th position. So in the final stages, it's suddenly Kalle Kavisto who leads this race, but has he gone a bit deep here compared to Scriffignano? 3 wide now, surge! Oh, look at that, straight back down the inside. Alexandre Longo for GTD, searching for a place.
Oh my goodness, 3 wide again onto the back straight, bumping and banging, and that's never going to work, unfortunately. Roberto somehow saves it again. These drivers have incredible car control, and as I say that, there's a display of not perfect car control. Christian Hinch parks it off into the grass there. He's going to have to rejoin soon enough, but up at the front, Martin Sampson also in this train of cars, looking to the inside.
So Christian Hinch has come together with Jarno Loré, who I think's been friendly with everybody at this moment in time. He's completely lost his head out there at this moment in time, as he will now look to try and get past Martin Sampson. I give him the widest car berth possible, defended there by Sampson, who might turn defense into attack here on his optical teammate, Charles Kellyman. Oh my word, they'll definitely be communicating with each other, trying to work out what's the best way to stop a hot-headed Loré here at Zolder. But now it's 3 at the front of this field with Roberto Bruno back 4 seconds. Scriffignano, Longo and Kavisto. Here's the search from Loré again. This time he gets down the inside at Boulderberg, but has he gone too deep? Yes, he has. He loses it, and he will try and avoid contact by spinning it there at Boulderberg.
Yeah, he saved it a few times. Unfortunately, this was a bridge too far for him. Jarno Loré is going to be plummeting down the field now into P13. Looks like it's going to be even behind this pack of cars all the way down to potentially 16th, maybe 17th here. A move from that pink and green, or pink and blue car, sending it onto the inside of the chicane here is Jarno Loré, actually not having any of it. He wants to join that pack and assert his dominance there. P15 is going to be the recovery.
Yeah, that car in front, of course, is Damien McMullen there with Sandavara, who are keeping themselves calm. Christian Hinch also in this pack in the middle of this group, but we still got amazing racing up and down this order. Hinch now trying to find some angle. None given really there by Patrick Alders and co at that point. So Hinch really having to work. Scott Angelo in the Maradnas car trying to find his angle, and he's really opened it up here. He's got a great chance heading towards Lucien Bianchi just to follow down through the line. But look how aggressive Patrick Alders was there on the outside track, but he's not going to get really much of a run off of this exit, and as such, back to that inside line, he'll have to search. He's going to have to be brave on the brakes against Christian Hinch here at the Klein chicane, and he'll take it.
Nicely done. Lick the stamp and send it, as Daniel Ricciardo would say. That's going to be Scott Angelo trying to capitalize as well on the poor exit from the car in front. It looks like it's going to be done again. 2 positions there, well, lost, I should say, not gained. 2 positions lost for Christian Hinch at this current moment. But one thing I'm noticing, when did I missed something, but Alexander Longo is no longer leading this race. We have Scriffignano as our race leader.
Yep, so Longo tried to make that move. He didn't, in fact, make that stick. It was Scriffignano who was able to hold it in station, so that's why he leads. And we're down to 5 minutes, 10 seconds left. This front 3, I think this is now about pure pace, because Scriffignano's trying to turn the screws here in this one compared to Alexandre Longo. It's a 47-1 on that last lap, and that's only 2/10 off of his fastest lap of the race. Longo is being made to really work hard for his bacon.
Yes, he is. I love that analogy, Jake. That's great. Scriffignano, though, currently doing a great job of leading Longo with pressure on his shoulders from the flying fin. Also, just to be said, I mentioned it earlier, but Bruno is just checked out from P3. He is currently 5 seconds behind. Oh my goodness. Very tight racing from Eduardo here in P8. That's going to be the likes of Tempest behind in that slipstream, bump drafting him along there. The gap gets closed anyway he goes. Sends it to the inside, though. Finds a little bit of a window. Is he going to get it stopped in time, though? Clips the inside curb. He gets it done, Eduardo, with a lovely send.
Edward Gross, good pass, but Charles Kellyman's going to come back here. He's on the wrong side of the road, though, takes the inside through the butte, and now here at the Villeneuve chicane, has he got the angle here? He's got to get it through the second part. There's a bit of contact there, and they'll both end up worse for wear. Straight through the middle, Matt Tempest trying to steal the march now on Charles Kellyman and go through, but Edward Gross from hero to zero.
Neither of these drivers fazed by that, just willing to capitalize on what's in front of them, going for the same piece of tarmac, and it is going to end in disaster. 2 does not go into 1 there. Big contact. Both drivers, though, managing to keep it between the mayo and the mustard and stay on track.
Yep, so they very much put everything into that one, trying to find it. There's Tony Wallace, second of the organisation drivers with Michael Tanagretta. He's in fact the lead car of the organisation here. He's looking for a move on Roy Charles if he can to gain an extra place up there to move up to 18th. Meanwhile, Cali Cavisto is searching. He wants to move up into second, and he has to take a bit of avoidance there through Canal, but he will get that angle. But what cost will it be here at Lucien Bianchi? Gets the move sorted, but look at that gap now. 1.2 to Scriffignano.
Yeah, Cali Cavisto going for P2 currently, but he's tasted the race lead at one point. He wants the whole thing. He's going to have to deal, though, with Longo for now. Down to the inside, which is going to turn to the out for the next corner. Doesn't matter. He has the job done. Up the road, though, 2.5 seconds. That's quite an ask here for 2 laps.
Well, that's just blown up thanks to the Klein chicane, and Melvin Tyne searching for a top 10 with Zegelar getting very antsy here with Nick de Beck for position. Look at how they clatter the curbs there at the Klein chicane. If you're not getting 2 wheels up in the air here, Mike, this is going to be saying you're not going fast enough.
Yeah, a little bit of karting, I guess, is, yeah, you could take that from. But side by side here, again, pretty much this track made of chicanes, and Melvin is going to have contact there with the rear bumper, unfortunately, of Ziegler, who rejoins the action immediately in a fight.
Yeah, with Jarno Larray and Damian McMullen. So he drops back those places, and everyone's just trying to be a bit greedy late here, trying to gain an extra position here, an extra position there, and there'll be a lot to dissect. Zegelar goes straight on, completely blows the Boulderberg hairpin, and just like that, two go flying through, and that's how quickly it can find itself in a race like this. We are now on to the final lap of this one, being led by Philip Scriffignano at the moment, but it's still on, of course, for second position, Cavisto and Longo. It's Cavisto currently in front.
Yeah, just about 2 miles of tarmac here to settle this bout. Longo to the outside here. He's going to try to cut back to the inside here on the exit. He's going to be very calm, cool, and collected on entry and take a nice shallow line. Nicely done. Gets his nose alongside, doesn't get boxed out, and carries the momentum through. These cars, momentum-based is an understatement. Now needs to go late onto the brakes. He does get it done. Licks the stamp, sends it, and Callie isn't really able to respond.
No, he's not really got much yet, but he's still got Boulderberg. It all depends on how good his Villeneuve chicane, his full to Lehman complex is. Through the right, left, and then the double right as he goes forward. But this is Philip Scriffignano, who is proving here today that he definitely has a great turn of pace, that arguably he's had to work the hardest of anybody to hold that station. Jarno Larray gave him a huge bit of work to deal with in the early goings. Those two behind definitely gave him a scare, but when the chips were down, he was the driver who was always going to put his head and shoulders above and say, I will be the one that will be the yardstick here in this race. Philip Scriffignano will come out of Jackie Hicks, and he will realise that he has got what he wants, a Division 2 victory. It'll be close for second behind as well, because Longo is just going to hold off Callie Cavisto on that podium.
Big weaving at the end there. Robert Bruno does come home for P4 as well. We have a battle now between Matt Tempest here. This is for P7. I think it is pretty much sealed, though, at this point. And it looks like they are going to come home in that order. So Martin Sampson, in P6, Charles Kellyman in 7th, Matt Tempest in 8th, and a car facing the wrong way on the back straight.
Well, Sandoval had lost some places there for a lot, and it's going to be whoever he's gone and collided with, and that answer is Tony Wallace of the organisation, who had just tried to make the move in the grass, and he finds himself with a heavy piece of contact here heading towards the end, so he'll be one of the last cars over the line as he has found himself with trouble. Lots of great racing towards the end there, a couple of drag races trying to get themselves through. I think Willem van Rassel there was one who was getting pretty close towards the end of that race. But that's going to pretty much do it then for division number 2. We'll get confirmation then. Unofficial results are going to be as follows. Philip Scriffignano will get the victory done in 25 minutes and 15 seconds, and he'll win by a margin of 2.5 seconds when all was said and done over Alexandre Longo. Callie Cavisto would finish third with Roberto Bruno fourth, Stefan Dumas and Martin Sampson 5th and 6th. Charles Kellyman would end up 7th for Optical with Matt Tempest in 8th. Nick de Beck would have an up-and-down day in 9th, with Melvin Tyne rounding out the top 10.
And Jarno Larray, unfortunately, they're P11 for the number 40 car, with Damian McMillan in P12 for company. Rene Ziegler managing to finish in P13, with Patrick Alders in P14. Edward Grob in P15, with Roy Charles in 16th. Christian Hinch, 17th fastest, with Peter Grossen in P18. Sander Ware in P20 to round out our top 20.
Yeah, Patrick Alders, your biggest mover in the field. He gained 17 spots today in this race. Peter Reid would finish ahead of Thomas Amoroso, with Michael Tannegretta and Willem van Rassel 23rd and 24th. Following that is James Shrimpton and Mick Robinson, with Martin Smith, Tony Wallace and Mackenzie Mann there in 29th. It would be Stephen Elder who'd round out the top 30, and only the one real retiree, who actually didn't really get retirees in this one, Mateo Camus, would be on the lead lap still, with Pedro Marimon and Victor Oliveira not taking a start in the race proceedings that we've got which will bring Division 2 practically to a close. We're going to step aside for one moment here with your Simify MX5 World Sim Series. It's the big fish coming up next here at Zolder, the main event, and it's all about who's going to come out of Zolder with a hefty piece of momentum. A lot going on then here between sessions. They went forward, but some brilliant action nevertheless. Opportunities not for so many to get a good result. One great result was from Alexandre Longo, who's with me right now. Alexandre, that was a case of having to find some patience, especially when everyone was trying to be aggressive, especially Jarno Lorey in that opening phase of the race. For you, how important was that just to keep a level head?
Oh, thank you so much to have me invite you on your channel, and I would like to thank everyone, every drivers from all division, and you guys for the awesome job you made, for every live you made for the MX5 World Sim Series, and for all the races. It was a tough one. It was a tough one. Division 1 will be hard too, and I was very lucky that Kaylee lifted the throttle and the chicane and let me pass, but that was very, very nice one, a very hard one. I missed my qualification session, and but very, very happy to get some strong points for the team and for me in the championships.
Well, some strong points there. In terms of building this momentum over to Brands Hatch next month, is that a circuit that you're really liking, Alexandra?
Of course, I love it. I love all tracks, and but especially Brands Hatch. Never went there. Because I'm working in the real life on the sport automotive industry, in the racing industry. And I'm lucky to go to different tracks all over Europe, but I will love to go there, and I will love to race there for very good action, and really want to go to Div 1. I missed Div 1 this time for 25,000, but yeah, not the victory in Div 1, but I will hope to go to Div 1 in for Brunswick.
Well, we hope to see you there. Alexandre Longo there joining us with a fantastic result then with his Division 2. Qualifying efforts going in at a Koba. Fastest at the moment here with his hot lap here in qualifying as the pushes go through. That is usurped immediately by Nicholas Goebel then jumping up with a 145.6. Those times going to be really important, and lest we forget that you've got also the reigning champion here in this one here, Mike, in Jaime Dalmases. He can only do, at best, third position at the moment.
Yeah, a bit of a letdown, I would say, from Jaime, but he obviously starting in row 2, not too much of a shake. Zolder, tough track to overtake, though, so it's going to be one of those moving forward that he has to take on the chin, and hopefully nobody else overtakes him. That's the thing, is we have about half the drivers that have set a time at this stage, so there's plenty of room to get dropped down a few more.
Well, there's plenty of drivers who are looking to try and put their pace forward. David Teron has just gone fourth fastest, focusing on the number 18 machine. At the moment, it's Nuno Ferreira who's currently out there. Morgan Burkhart can only go 10th out there, or even worse, 11th. He's best out there. Dylan Da Costa in the virtual drivers by TX3 machine is hoping that he's got a good qualifying effort down on the board as well. But everybody realizes that in one-shot qualifying, you either got it or you don't.
Yeah, that is definitely, it's one of those ones where any little mistake will make or break your session, obviously. And a mistake in sim racing, very easy to make at the best of times. And when you have the pressure piled on to deliver the best result you can, that is when it's easiest to fall under the pressure. As we have it, though, Nicholas Goebel still in P1.
Yeah, and it's not many drivers who can go out there and improve. Ari Haro's thrown it off the road. Eugenio Pulici might be the one driver who could find improvement. So if Pulici can get himself forward, can get that one extra place in the Absolute Motorsport car, he might be the one who can jump up forward and say, it might be mine. We're not really seeing too much out of it here. Pushing through Jackie X. This is going to be a very topsy-turvy one out there. And in terms of championship points as well, it is important to say as well that the top 20 by pre-qualification also get bonus points from 20 down to 1. There's 160 points on offer for a win overall. Pulici can only find 16th.
And number 16 falls in P16. We have a few more drivers still to come to the line, though. Jack is going to be up next here, heading into the final chicane. Going to be looking for that braking marker again off towards that right-hand side of the track for this corner. Going to get it checked in here. Once again, we're looking for the two wheels off the circuit here, trying to maximize that potential. That was a little bit off the mark, but carrying a good amount of speed now on towards the line. What's it going to be as the time climbs? Probably in the middle. 146.5, not bad,
P14.
but enough for P14.
Well, it's all down now to the Bosnian here, Adnan Grozdanic here from Bosnia and Herzegovina. This is going to be important. He's 7th in the championship. He wants to be right up at the pointy end with Goebel, with Kobo, with Dalmases, with Teron, after what was a crazy race at Watkins Glen to open up the season. It's a lot more choice here at Zolder, but the question will be with Grozdanic, has he done enough in the MX5 deep dive car? He's really trying to maximize this circuit out to Jochen Rindt, and now heading towards Jackie X. He's got to find everything he can and then some if he wants to start knocking on the door. 0.4 of a second would be good enough for 5th to leapfrog a legendary driver like Jason Cooper. But can Adnan Grozdanic put something on the board? He straight lines as much as he can. 46.252. He won't be happy with that. He's on the 6th row of the grid with Morgan Bird the grid, and it goes to show you how deep the talent pool here is in your MX5 World Sim Series.
Absolutely. Very unfortunate there for him. He'll be looking to improve, but I think some of the top drivers there relieved, especially Yuame in P3. Definitely going to be feeling good about that one. He didn't quite put the delivery lap that he wanted on. He's, to be fair, only 800 thousandths off of the time there of Koba in front. The margin slim, but That's the difference that it takes here in these MX5s, as you said, especially at this level.
It's the first time that Ade Koba has started a race this season, and that's important as we head on over towards the Simify starting grid. Simify is your one-stop shop for all your sim racing gear. You can choose from iconic brands and bundles in an array of physical hardware to get your leg up on the competition. Simify ships worldwide, and they also have 2 sim racing centers in Madrid and in Barcelona. Head over to www.simify.com/MX5WSS to have your discount applied automatically on your sim racing purchases today. Link down in the description. It is a big qualifying for Nicholas Goebel, who will put the car on the pole position, a 145.602. He has got Ade Koba alongside him for company on that front row. The reigning champ, Jaume Dalmases, he will start from 3rd position. It'll be David Terron who will be alongside him then in position number 4. We'll get the grid for you in about 10 seconds time when the session ticks over into the race. Jason Cooper for 5-Star Motorsports struggled a little bit in pre-qualification, and in qualifying he can only manage 5th place here, so that's why he's a little bit further down the order, with Camden Hibbett in 6th position. 7th will be 7th and 8th, I should say, is a 5-star 4th row of the grid. It's Lars Fischer, the German, who finds himself in that 8th position, or 7th position, sorry, with Yuan Jilin in 8th, the Chinese driver. You then got David Chapman in 9th, with Alberto Blanco rounding out the top 10.
And we also have Adan Gozdanzik in P11 with Morgan Burkhart in 12th. Peter Sandberg is going to be 13th fastest with Dylan DaCosta in P14. Jack Veazey in 15th with Tony Latamaki in P16 with we have Vladislav in P17. Again, apologies on the mispronunciations. That one was definitely wrong. Eduardo Polici in P18 with Michael Chase in 19th, and rounding out our top 20 is going to be Marcos Piava.
It's really surprising to see Vladislav Shopov so far down the order, also making his first start of the season, down in 17th. He was someone who was knocking on the door of taking the title away at the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca back in December. So he's someone definitely to keep an eye out on. There's a number of drivers who are putting their names forward, trying to get as much as they can out of this race. You look further down, the likes of Tucker Sawyer's down the order, Ronald Mones, Chris Knox surprisingly down the order in qualifying, Ronald Mones as well. Number of drivers missed out in qualifying. They included Jordan Svetanov, Ari Haro, Miles Owens, Ewan Bremer. Surprisingly, Nuno Ferreira missing out in qualifying. I was expecting him to be knocking on the door of the top 10 here with his qualifying effort. Surprised to see him so far down. But there's your track conditions, 27 degrees Celsius, 80 Fahrenheit track temperature. You call that pretty much ideal when it comes to today. Not much wind to speak of. This is going to be a 25 minutes to remember. Goebel, Koba, Dalmases, Terron. That's your front 4. Green flag in the air, and we are underway. Not the greatest start in the world there from Nicholas Goebel off the front, and that will bring Ade Koba in the Simify Sim Racing car with a chance onto the outside. They'll challenge into the opening corner. Dalmases in the mix as well, trying to make that rush on forward. Over to Sterenvat. Observatory Ben, a little search to that inside. Ade is so aggressive here in his first start, but Goebel has the lead.
Yeah, Ade Koba still going for it here onto the outside. He manages to find a slot, though, behind Goebel in P2. We have Yame, who is behind and really piling the pressure on. We see a lot of aggressive action here on lap 1. All these drivers nip and tuck, heading on down the back straight towards the chicane. There's big contact in a straight line, and a lot of cars are going to be collected in this potentially.
Yeah, Morgan Burkhart is the big loser in all of that, and it continues on down the straight. So huge dramas out there, as it's the likes, of course, of Burkhart who's been caught out. The SCCA driver is going to be out for the Parallel Racing Group. That is going to be one of his drops, and seeing as he runs so much, Mike, in the SCCA in the summer, he needed every point he could get early on.
Yeah, you did mention, though, of course, there are going to be a couple drop rounds. This might be the round that he decides to use. Well, he doesn't decide, but the round that might get used on. Here we have a change, though, for the lead, potentially, into the back chicane. Adekoba to the inside. It is going to be not quite the good enough run. Once again, that outside line favoring these MX5s, able to carry that speed on towards these very open corners. Again, now into the final chicane, checking into that back bumper. Just going to be looking to maximize the exit speed.
Well, here's the issue that you've got if you're Dalmas's and your Koba. You've got to find positions. There's Sandberg, there's a spin. Out the final corner at the end of the opening lap. That's huge. And round went one of those cars going forward. I think that was Dylan Da Costa, who was the main spinner in that group. It also caught out Eugenio Pulici, but through on the inside is Adekoba into the race lead. And the front group goes as far back as Alberto Blanco, the second of the Zenith Esport cars. It's 9 at the front of this field, and behind that, Tony Latin-Maki is now trying to find his places here up in this field. He looks behind, it's Chris Knox. He looks in front, Jack Veazey holding the second train station.
Nicely done here, Tony. On the move here, the Finnish driver trying to get what he can done, but stuck in a bit of a pack. Obviously, these cars tough at the best of times. There's that little hop that we were talking about. Nicely done from our leaders. Dalmas is playing it very patient. Hasn't made any big moves. Has his teammate behind him as well, which is nice to have. David Taron going to be helping out wonders there, keeping the likes of Jason Cooper off that back bumper and allowing him to look forward for the potential race lead.
But those are 5-star cars behind. The 5-star car of Teron, the 5-star car of Jason Cooper, Camden Hibbett, who is there as well. It's for Nicholas Goebel in second, where that helps the 5-star team at this moment in time with Adekoba, the Spaniard at the front. 3 Spaniards in the top 4 will do wonders, of course, for the Nations Cup, which is currently led by Spain by 3 points after Watkins Glen. Now they make that rush once more to Jackie Hicks here. 21 minutes and a half left on the clock. A number of drivers getting caught out early, but you have to be patient here and time the runs to perfection. And that's the key when you're on the front of a group like this. You're effectively having to do all the donkey work compared to everyone else.
Yeah, and that was my bad earlier. David Taron and Jason Cooper, they are in a very good position here working together towards any sort of forward or backwards. I know they have their teammates behind that they can potentially get up into the running as well.
Oh,
Chris Knox, though, is going to be round, unfortunately. It looks like there wasn't any contact either, but there might have been a slight brushing that unsettled that little car and forcing it to have a little bit of a pirouette and rejoin the track quite far down.
Yeah, we normally say that Chris Knox graduated from the School of Hard Knocks with grade A's, but that wasn't a grade A moment for him there at the first corner, so that was really troublesome. Looks again by Nicholas Goebel, but I wonder how much strategy is going to be involved here in this race, how much he's going to want to wait here today at Zolder compared to Adekoba, because you know how easy it is to get left in the wrong place at the wrong time. Positioning is vital at a circuit so narrow where overtaking is at a premium. We're going to take a little look at what happened earlier on, though, in this race with all of the dramas that befalled certain drivers here. This is what happened at the end of lap 1, and that is Dylan Da Costa finding out what makes it difficult. Car spinning is 2-in-1 with Pulici.
Nice. A little bit of an ice skating maneuver. I know we've seen some pirouettes. Oh no, and it collects the number 16 driver as well, who has a bit of a pirouette themselves. Wow. 10 out of 10, I guess. Not really, but for the circumstances. Regardless, Nicholas Goebel back on the charge here, still being patient as ever, waiting to take that P1 away from Adekoba. Or is he being patient?
No, I think he's going to have a look now. First corner is going to be one of the key places to get it done. Up through the gears, and Ade's going to let him have it here. Doesn't fight it. David Taron with the fastest lap bonus points available. You get more in Division 1 than you do in Division 2. So keep that in mind as the season racks on up. And remember, hard charger points are going to be key. Victor Gonzalez is up 10 currently in this race. He's having a flyer, but Ariharo is the best. As a car off at turn 1. There's multiple off. Polici's caught up in another one. Chris Knox is caught up in another one. And that was all down in and around with Dan Skinner.
Hey, a little bit of a parking lot forming there at the end of pit lane. I'm sure we'll catch a replay of that eventually. In the meantime, Jason Cooper trying to find his way onto David Taron, who's his teammate. So potentially here, I think, going to
look at
be
Ade's
more. So yes, indeed, he is on it right now. And to the outside, though, is Ade going to be able to take it? Nicholas Goebel, will he hold it into the braking? Looks like yes, Ade Koba takes the race lead back. Now, I'm not sure these two are fighting necessarily at 100%. I think that they are giving the kind of trading positions, working together at this stage. But I could be wrong as well.
I wouldn't say they're trading for the sake of trading. I think that both of them want to lead at the front, slightly defensive by Jaime Dalmases, who's having to look back, forwards, left and right. It is a 5-star sandwich with a zenith filling at this moment in time. Cooper in 5th. He's trying to make some progress, but he's struggling. And don't count those two on the back of this train right now. Camden Hibbett and Yuanji Lin. If anything should happen up at the front, these would be the sort of drivers who would relish the chance to move on forward.
We are going to catch a little bit of a replay here. I think this is that spin that we saw from, or the contact, excuse me, that we saw earlier. Ooh, and that is a completely unforced error there from the 15. And as we approach the scene of the crime with the 16 gets unsettled and contact arises, those two get locked together. My goodness. Is that how baby MX5s are made?
Yeah, so bump clip to bump clip there. That was never going to be ideal. Arihara there in the Blue Rose team machine really making some fantastic progress in this race. That puts him plus 15. That move there at turn 1 over Pascal Miranda for position. So that's beautiful work from Arihara, who is really flying forward here in this race. Adnan Grozdanic has also got his eyes set here. That's Lars Fischer just in front, who has lost contact with that main group. 2.3 seconds off the back of Yuanji Lin, this group finds itself. David Teron with a slowdown penalty in that lead group, though, has dropped him back down the order a couple places, the Spaniard.
Man, you look away for a half a second and you miss everything. That is absolutely incredible. David Teron going to be a little bit phased by that, going to be a little upset, but it's all, of course, on his fault there, really. And so only thing you can do, look ahead, move on from it, and try to tackle the road in front of you. We have his teammate here, or no, excuse me, we don't have his teammate. We have Adnan, who is battling with his teammate a bit further back down for P8. Not able to make any grounds just yet.
But he is forcing him wide, and Lars Fischer is a customer out there who is often the coolest head in the room, and he is looking phased. And it's not often that a driver of Lars Fischer's quality gets a little bit unsettled. Adnan Grozdanic is the real deal, and he's looking for a move.
The outside line is chosen here, sticking to it. He's going to be looking for this here into the second corner, trying to set that switchback up, take a little bit tighter of a line, and then a wider line here for this corner. Is he going to send it? He is going to have a think about it, but gap has quickly closed up from the P8 there from Fischer, and he isn't able to make it. One more attempt here onto the back straight if he really wants to. He's very close, but again, just not able to position that car in the correct spot.
Positioning is going to be so very, very vital, and you're going to have to be very switched on to try and find everything you can. Very shallow line going forward by Goebel. He was having a half look to the inside. Look at how it's going to compromise him here. Jaime Dalmas is trying to find a way through. Push from Jason Cooper, trying to force it side by side. Here to Villeneuve, trying to really work around the outside. This might allow Ade Koba to break here. Dalmas is throwing everything. 2 rights here at Lehman, trying to get this move done. And Jaime Dalmas will get it sorted. Goebel will be hoisted on his own petard. And Ade Koba now 1.6 clear.
My goodness, Ade Koba absolutely on a tear and is going to be loving the scenes in this rearview mirror as he walks away with this. Dalmasis also with a big smile on his face after that one, and he definitely earned it. Needs to keep it there, though, for the next 14 minutes and 31 seconds. I cannot believe that we have only undergone 10 minutes of this race.
Well, it just goes to show you here that it is intense. Every position you need to find is intense, and all that battling. Look at how the group has strung out behind, all the way to Tony Latinmaki here, outside the top 10 and 11th. So suddenly, it's a 10-car fight for 2 places.
Incredible, these cars. So punchy as well as you get back onto Nicholas Goebel here, handling it with excellence. So late onto the brakes there as well, compared to Dalmasis in front. Even in that dirty air, awfully confident. You can see as he gets closer and closer to the back bumper. Is he going to be having a look here?
Well,
sets it up.
I'd say at this point, though, they've got to start working together because there's the bigger picture of the victory. They've got to start pushing on these straights. They've got to start trying to find some moves. You see that with Nicholas Goebel pulling out of the slipstream early, doesn't want to encroach onto Jaume Dalmases in the braking zone and cost them, who absolutely flies over that section of track, and he'll get a fantastic run. He'll gain a 10th and a half almost then on this run over the crest, and it's now a case of who wants what. Camden Hibbett finds himself in an absolute slew of 5-star cars. That's 5 5-star cars in 6 places at the moment. Fisher, Lynn, Teron, Hibbett, the sandwich, Cooper, and Goebel.
As you had mentioned earlier, this is going to do some incredible stuff for the championship standings towards those Spanish teams. Looking very strong. But here we have Gordanzik, who is at the back of it. Windshield wipers are on there. Got to clear off the bugs and the dirt, of course. But awfully calm, cool, and collected. That's such a tough position to be in, I got to say. Having all of those cars in front of you and really no fortune of where to go. As you turn in there, you can see there's not much vision to be had here for Gordanzik.
And of course, the prelude to the Tempest system coming to iRacing in just under a month's time. The biggest update that iRacing has had in a very, very long time. On the brakes goes Grosdanic then through the first corner as he searches in the middle of this group with Jack Veazey and Tony Latin-Markey there just behind. It's so well behaved right now. Nobody can really make a punchy attack on the driver in front, and it's similar pace between Dalmases and Koba in this group. So Koba's got the group in check. 1.5, the rubber band snaps. It's got to be pure pace from Dalmases if he wants to close down the Simify Sim Racing driver, Ade Koba, who was such a huge factor in championship racing last season, but he was just a stage short compared to one Mr. Jaume Dalmases, the reigning champion, trying to give chase, but that gap extends.
I could watch that all day, those drivers going through the Klein chicane there, just all one after another, each of them in the exact tire tracks. Look at that. It's like watching water flowing down a hill. It's incredible. These drivers so even in terms of their talent levels, which is making such exciting racing for us. But I gotta say, at this point in time, I think it's getting to be a bit of pressure here for the likes of Dalmases.
Yeah, and this is huge, really, for Jaume Dalmases. He knows how important it is to try and stay calm. There's Alberto Blanco, his teammate. That's a really important battle out there. That's Victor Gonzalez, then, that he's trying to stave off at this moment in time. He's just made the move, and he'll be looking at Vladi Shopov, who's there just in front of him, trying to take some points away from him, if at all possible. Through the Jackie Hughes chicane, onto another lap's worth of racing, and starting to really sense that there are gaps and they are starting to open up, but there are groups everywhere you look who've got battles on right now. Dan Skinner having to defend hard here. It's Ewan Bremer just behind with the recovering Nuno Ferreira.
Also, we have Marcos Paiva back for P23. Currently looking at him as he heads down towards the first corner in that slipstream. Gotta say, the car in front with a lovely livery. That might be that Bosnia-Herzegovinian, or at least the flag colors at the very least.
Yeah,
I don't think it has any relation.
But he's trying to do as much as he can at this point. You got Ewan Bremer there, the Dutch driver, who's really looking around, trying to find where he can make a move on the brakes again. Then through Lucien Bianchi, which is the ultimate setup corner here on this circuit. If you're going to try and make a move, if you're going to try and gain a place, that's the way you're going to have to do it. There is Nuno Ferreira. He might steal one down the inside. Oh, so easy there. Bremer was so early on the brakes. He wanted none of side-by-side at the Klein chicane.
As he has it, he's going to have to continue on with the side-by-side, though. Heading on down, Bremer able to make it stick for now, holds the position, but still the pressure's on. The back end is loose. Is that going to be the capitalizing moment there? No. Able to keep it under control. These cars are just so planted. Obviously, that's due to the fact they're front-wheel drive and don't have the most horsepower, but they're still does not take away from the sheer talent and just the fun. I know funness isn't a word, but funness that these cars are to drive.
Yeah, this is absolutely fantastic in terms of getting a feel, getting a sense that you've always got an opportunity, you're never truly out of it. But that gap now at 2.2 seconds, they're now racing for second best here, and it's up to what Nicholas Goebel wants, it's up to what Jason Cooper wants, Camden Hibbett, David Terron, the entire group that goes down this train. They realise how important it is in these early stages to pick up points, because those points where you finish in the championship 1 to 40, besides your grid slot Laguna Seca, and if you're back there row 5, row 6, it's a much tougher challenge to try and take the overall title.
Yeah, out of the prize money for that one for sure if you do end up back there. Well, not guaranteed, but more than likely. So all these drivers maximizing every single race that they can, and obviously it's a bit devastating when you don't get the result. Thankfully, a couple drop rounds will help out with that. You can see a lovely view here from the likes of Dalmasis onto the rear bumper. You can see the elevation change as well. That was pretty much the entirety of the elevation change at Zolder.
It's a little bit here, it's a little bit there, and now it's starting to just fracture a little bit, this group. Camden Hibbett's looking behind at Terron. He's unable to really keep the same pace. It's a 10th here, it's a 10th there. It's like an artisan chipping away at time. Here's a look, they're not quite there, but defensive now. Camden Hibbett is really having to go. Oh, and he slides off the exit. Terron was a little bit too close to really capitalise on that, so he's had to check up. Yuanji Lin on the scene as well, is trying to get himself involved, but it's also really difficult when you've got to try and run against the gauntlet. Adnan Grozdanic against Fischer, against Lin, he's really going to struggle, and with such a narrow line there by Lars Fischer and co, there's nothing really that Grozdanic can do back there in 9th.
No, it's so tough for him to move anywhere at this stage. Also, not to mention the fact that there are cars encroaching on that back bumper quicker than I think he's comfortable with. As we take a look here, though, up at the front, that's going to be Goebel's putting the pressure on, towards Dalmasis. Dalmasis, I think, is finally feeling it now. Nick Goebel getting a bit impatient, to say the least. This is going to be a great line as well as we set up here. Switchback attempt potentially, but he's too close to the bumper to make anything work. Has to lift off that throttle a bit much. Keeps the exit speed, though, up. And that is a big block there from Dalmasis, and he's going to need to keep that up for the next 6.5 minutes. And I think Adekoba is not too much of a concern at this point.
Well, Adekoba's gone, so this is purely defense from Halmases now. He is on damage limitation mode. Can I hold on to that second? He's done very well on that lap with Goebel. There's Grozdanic trying to have a look here at the chicane. He knows how important it is. Has he overshot it? He has ever so slightly, and that's going to mean that's going to cost Lars Fischer here as he goes through. But crucially enough, Grozdanic doesn't get the slowdown. He got the place, he got it slowed up. So he's through. Tony Latin-Markey is there on the back trying to get past Jack Veazey. Fischer's going to want to come straight back here in this one here. But at a lower spots inside the top 10, round the outside of Boulderberg, searching. He'll have the inside now for the final chicane.
Oh, lovely racing here, and it's not done just yet. Every point matters in this championship, and you can see it here. Grozdanic down the inside here of the final chicane is going to be able to hold on to that position for now. And we also, that is going to be Tony coming up into that, the Finnish driver, now into the conversation as well. Lars Fischer.
He is, so too Jack Veazey, so too Vladi Shopov is there trying to pick up some late places, and this would be a boon for 77 if he can find a way through. Camden Hibbett now finds himself looking to inhibit the place that Jason Cooper has, who has been so quiet in this race. He's almost been hiding away like a mouse. He's just waiting for the right time to get his piece of cheese.
Seems like he may have put himself into a very advantageous spot at this moment. 5 minutes left in the race in P5 for the number 5. Some may say it's fate.
Some might say he's looking for an extra couple places then. On the brakes, they push again in through the Klein chicane. So easy to get over aggressive, spin the car on exit, go too aggressive and get the slowdown penalty over the curve. It is a chicane that strikes fear into the hearts of many mortals. On the brakes to the Villeneuve chicane, the full Terleyman complex needs 4 corners, trying to get a rush off of the exit and maybe a chance to attack. Nicholas Goebel, in just his second start in the Simify MX5 World Sim Series, is proving that he is title contender material as he thinks about a move here at Boulderberg, throws it on the brakes, but it's perfect defense from Jaume Dalmases. He had that locked down inch to perfection.
Jaume Dalmasis, his car is as loyal as a Labrador in this race for him. He has been just placing it wheel perfect every single time. Hasn't placed a wheel wrong, I don't think, at all in this session. Needs to keep it up for a couple more laps, but he is really sustaining this pressure.
He is sustaining this pressure absolutely fantastically. There's Miles Owens and co. There, the 64 car for SimRace Sweden Esports. He dives down the inside. He'll take one away and jump up an extra one. So he'll have something to smile with there late on in his race. That was Marcos Paiva that he was able to get through in the Rosso Esports machine. So there is another one that he's been able to jump up forward and pick off. So 3 minutes to go. This second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth still to be decided. Nuno Ferreira also looking for places late.
Trying to make up ground that he can. Looking up ahead here to Skinner. Is he stuck currently behind that Mazda? They're in a little bit of a lone pack themselves here, so really onto the end there. They're going to be, I'd imagine there's going to be no love lost between those two. Albert Blanco trying to make what he can up, trying to gain onto that big pack ahead where the positions are and where the points are as well. Obviously, every point matters here. We see Godanzik onto the outside, and forced wide, drops a position.
Lars Fischer there, just super brave on the brakes and able to put Grozdanic in a bit of trouble. Latinmaki not close enough to really do anything about it as this group second on back continues. They'll have 2 laps to go the next time they cross the line, so 2 opportunities to find these overtakes. Grozdanic might just start getting desperate. He has been stuck at the stone cold gate of Lars Fischer.
Yeah, I think any one of these drivers, we're going to start to see that desperation showing here. Nicholas Goebel in particular, I think is going to be one of those drivers as well. 2 laps to go, though, so you've got to be very calm, very cautious. Obviously, you make an overtake too early, that could result in you losing that position. Tire wear, not going to be too much of a concern for these drivers. Obviously, everyone on equal setups, as well as just a 25-minute race. Nothing that these MX5s can't handle, so it's pure driver skill ahead of them.
It is, and Jaume Dalmasis, one of the best to ever do it. Nicholas Goebel now finds himself then really trying to attack the reigning champion, pushing forward through Lucien Bianchi, Bock, Salut Gilles up there as they go on forward. And of course, you've got to say salut as well to Jules Bianchi. There's the crossover from Nicholas Goebel. He didn't want to wait. He'll go forward for it. Heavy on the brakes, then they all went forward. Too deep on the brakes when Camden Hibbett. He'll take a slowdown penalty. Through goes Goebel. Up the hill, they will start to charge and find a way forward. There might not be an angle here at Telamen in the Villeneuve chicane. It's not quite there. Cooper trying to force his way through, running outside.
Dalmasis is getting eaten up at this current moment. He needs to get everything together. He does get it together, it seems. Jason Cooper, though, with a lunge from downtown trying to get by. He does make the overtake happen onto Camden Hibbett. Still 1 lap to go after we cross the line, and it seems, as I've said before, every single lap they battle like it's the final. Well, this is going to be the final lap, and we're going to see what that really looks like.
We absolutely are, and this is where it gets crucial. Goebel, I think, might have just snuck away here with second position, third on back. It's pretty much going to be anybody's game at this point, all the way back to Alberto Blanco in 13th. Barney waving the white flag means we got 1 opportunity left here to try and figure it out, and that gap has really opened to Cooper, to Hibbett, and to Dalmasis there. There is your race leader, Ade Koba, who is miles away in this race by comparison. 3.7 seconds. There's some searching by Grozdanic. Still can't find a way with Fischer. Tony Latinmaki now trying to move up into 8th. Everything he's got available to him, he's trying to find here at Lucien Bianchi at this moment in time. Can he find maybe an opportunity to make some moves? Cooper's still thinking about that podium with Dalmasis defending in front. Everywhere you look, everybody's thinking about where can they find an angle of attack. So too is Camden Hibbett. Up the hill, they'll now start to push towards the boot corner, turn 6, and then over towards the Gilles Villeneuve chicane and that Telemann complex was so crucial. Blanco trying to steal one on Vladi Shopov late. Shopov defends the line. Grosdanic can't find anything either. It may have to be Boulderberg where you're going to find those late moves, those late lunges, which become oh so vital, oh so crucial in a race like this, in a race which is so crucial early stages, early doors in your championship pushes. The one real look there is with Tony Latamaki and Yuanji Lin trying to push back side by side. But Ade Koba, is anybody going to stop him? Because he has been simply sensational. El Capitan Fantastico, Ade Koba Haigana here at Zolder, and it's so easy.
And Nicholas Goebel also comes across the line. I would not describe it as easy for him, as well as, did Yuame get that? No, Kadam Habit did end up taking home P3 with Terron behind, and Dalmasis, unfortunately, after defending for what seemed to be an eternity, he falls down to P5.
We'll need a look at that coming over the line, because it was an everything move from Jason Cooper. Tiny bits of contact from the pair of them, and Camden Hibbett stole one coming off of the line. Nowhere to go for Jason Cooper. David Terron will finish off in fourth. Sneaking one in late. Marcos Paiva making late progress towards the line, and there's only a couple drivers left who can find a finish out there. The likes of Palahi, Morgan Burkhardt, and Per Sandberg will be the last drivers on the leading lap. So we're going to step aside for just one moment here with the Global Sim Racing Channel. Post-race comes to you after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to your Simify MX5 World Sim Series. This is how your results look. Ade Koba picks it up then and gets it done. A 3.5 second victory over Nicholas Goebel in second position, with Camden Hibbett taking the final spot on the podium in position number 3. David Terron would steal one forward along with Hibbett on the final corner of the race, as Jaume Dalmases and Jason Cooper made contact, demoting each other down to 5th and 6th positions respectively. Lars Fischer would be gatekeeping away Adnan Grozdanic from any further pushes forward. The Bosnian and Herzegovina driver doing an incredible job to get up into 8th place. Tony Latanmaki would finish 9th. Jack Veazey would round out the top 10.
And of course, moving on to 11th here, we saw that mid-pack scrap, and we can see as they come across the line at dead even times was Albert Blanco, as well as Vladislav Shopov. Both identical for 11th and 12th. Luckily, Alberto did manage to take that home. We have Yujan Lee Lin in P13 with Michael Chase in P14. Tucker Sailor in P15 with Ari Haro in 16th. Victor Gonzalez 17th quickest. Dan Skinner in 18th. Nuno Ferreira in 19th, and Ivan Bremer in rounding out our top 20.
Over the page then, it's Miles Owens who ends up 21st ahead of Laurent Sebastian. You then got Marcos Paiva in 23rd and Pascal Miranda in 24th position. Albert Palahi, Morgan Burkhardt, who will be kicking himself then on one of his first starts of the season, and Per Sandberg will be the last finishers on the lead lap, leaving Ronald Moens and David Chapman one lap down. Retirees would be Chris Knox along with Eugenio Pulici and Dylan Da Costa. No start for Jordan Svetinov in today's racing. But let's take a look at that final lap and just try and dissect what happens between Jaume Dalmases and, of course, Jason Cooper. Those two were at hammer and tongs all of last season. And you get a look here. Cooper has to throw this move here, Mike, on the final stages. But there's a little bit of door-to-door which slides them out. Cooper tries to sneak away through the grass, but I tell you what, Jaume Dalmases was having none of it. He just pinned it to the outside, so there was no way he was being overtaken.
Yeah, I don't necessarily blame him in that scenario. I mean, he definitely had the line into the chicane. A little bit of an ambitious move, but again, a fair move. So nothing I think the stewards are going to be too upset about. At the end of the day, it cost both of them equally. And unfortunately there for Dalmases, P5 it is going to be for our previous champion.
Well, we are going to take a chance then to talk with some of our drivers. Nicholas Goebel is alongside me right now. Nicholas, after 2 rounds in the championship, you've been right up at the pointy end in both of these races. Your team is absolutely sensational in terms of its composition, always near the front. But for you, it was a case of how they managed to get in, started to attack you, and Ade was gone.
Yeah, hi guys, first of all. Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate, obviously, if you start pole, you want to defend it, especially on a tight circuit like this. And yeah, Ade got by, he definitely had the pace, so I want to follow him through until the later stages of the race. And he made a small mistake going through the 90-degree right-hander, the turn 4. I wanted to slot in behind, and Jaume went for it, naturally, as he's trying to get the position. But yeah, unfortunately we lost Ade. I thought maybe Jaume would have the pace to follow. We were just right at the end of this draft window. But yeah, just a few slight mistakes, and then obviously we lost the draft, and then Ade was gone. He had sensational pace up front, and after that it was just a race for P2, I guess.
Well, for you ended up in the best position, so to speak, of those racing for the places on the podium there. Just talk us through that move, because, of course, you had your teammates there helping out. You had Jason, you had David, you had Lars, who was all there going through Yuanji as well. But really, for you, in terms of the very late stages of that race, how crucial was it having someone like Jason Cooper behind you, giving that help all the way, that security buffer to go out there and attack?
Yeah, it definitely helps. Obviously, with Jason, having someone behind me with that much experience in the MX5. I still remember watching him before I even joined 5-star. Yeah, he had some sensational pace and racecraft, and obviously it helps if you know that he'll probably protect you from the back and you can just attack up front. So for me, it was just about getting a good run, and then I knew I could just go for it without even having to look back. So that was fantastic. And yeah, Jason also went for it. Unfortunately, I think there was some side-by-side contact. Yeah, he wasn't in P3 like last time at Watkins. But yeah, I hope next time he'll be at the top of the podium positions again.
Well, that next time is going to be Brands Hatch. For you, is that going to be sort of similar practice month to month, seeing how there are quite a few, I would say, similarities with how Zolder drives compared to how Brands Hatch drives?
Yeah, I have to see. I'm still not sure if I can actually join for Brands Hatch. So yeah, I'll definitely practice with the team to see where we can go pace-wise, and then I'll have to see if I can join. But the team will be right up front. I'm pretty sure of it.
Well, the floor is yours, Nicholas. Anybody you'd like to thank? It is a P2 finish here at Zolder.
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the 5-star motorsport guys, obviously. I think we're all having an amazing time in voice chat. It's just good fun to drive the MX5. And then also I'd like to thank my dad who got me to sim racing. He's watching you guys right now. And then obviously huge thanks to Sander and you guys, the broadcasting crew, for making such an amazing broadcast. Always enjoyable to watch. I loved it last season, and then for this season I wanted to join as well. So yeah, cheers guys.
No worries at all. And hi, Nicholas's dad is the best way to go forward. Nicholas Goebel joining us there. Second position overall. Third even, actually. He was fifth coming towards the final corner. It would be third in the end for Camden Hibbett. Stood by with him right now is Mike Naus.
Yeah, Camden, how's it going? Mike Naus here.
Yeah, very, very good. Thank you guys, first of all, for the amazing production that you guys do. And what a race. What a race. I was pretty happy with just riding P5. Door kind of opened and was able to sneak into a podium spot there.
Yeah, I was actually about to say, I feel like you didn't necessarily expect to see yourself up here on the podium today. You looked, like you said, fairly content in that pack, but at the end of the day, the door opened. And when you saw that light, how did it feel?
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. I was on the Discord call with my teammate Morgan Burkhardt, who unfortunately was involved in an incident early, but super exciting. This is my first season with the MX5 World Sim Series, so super excited to get my first podium. Yeah, like I said, I was just kind of riding in fifth. It's so hard to pass here with the chicanes, the off tracks. It just makes it really difficult. Saw the light open up, as you said, and just kind of went for it.
You know, I don't think that's a full, necessarily a full description of your race, though, that you had. Obviously, you had that, maybe call it lucky if you want, call it skill, however you would, to get that P3. But I don't think that describes what got you to that P5. Obviously, it was quite a bit of work to make up those positions. You didn't quite start that high up, but you did an excellent job all the way working through.
Yeah, it was definitely kind of an up and down of a race. I made a mistake probably with 5, maybe 10 minutes to go into the first chicane there. Accidentally was late on the brakes and just had to pull it down to the inside, gave myself a slowdown, and kind of got lucky with some teammates scrapping up ahead and got that spot back. And just kind of was, at that point I was content with riding in fifth. I don't know if I'm going to make the full schedule, so I was just happy to take the points to try and carry it into a good starting spot for the world final. And I think it was luck at the end there. Really hard racing between Dalmasis and I think it was Jason Cooper, I think. It was just really hard racing and door opened up, and I definitely think it was luck there into the final chicane, but sometimes that's all you need here in the motorsports world.
Yeah, it's also all about putting yourself into that position, you know, having the skill, having the necessary ability to capitalize on those mistakes from your competitors, so good on you for that. Obviously, moving forward, we have Brands Hatch. Is that a track that you're going to be looking forward to next month?
Yeah, I do think that I'll be able to make that one. I'm relatively busy with some of my real world stuff, so I'm hoping to make I'm kind of on a race by race basis right now, trying to figure out which ones I'm going to make, but I do believe I'll make Brands Hatch, so I'm super excited for that. Back to a, I think, more open track, probably a little bit easier pass. Hoping for some exciting racing there.
Yeah, that I am personally looking extremely, it's one of my favorite tracks, so I cannot wait myself. Now, Camden, P3 finish here tonight at Zolder. Is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, all my partners in real world, Byers Automotive, Rainier Construction, Team Spirit Custom Trailers, Autosmarts Radio, Westerville Automotive. These guys are insane. They help me do what I love in the real world, and all my teammates at Parallel Racing Group. Morgan Burkhardt, like I said, unfortunately got taken out early, but definitely expecting him to be back up towards the front like he was last season here soon. And then just my mom and dad for helping me do everything that I'm able to do, from the sim to the real world racing, and you guys. It's a great production. I go back and watch it most weeks, and I'm always entertained by what I see. So some great racing tonight. Can't wait for Brands Hatch.
Absolutely awesome. Thank you very much, Camden. Camden Hibbett, everybody, P3 here for the MX5 Sim Series 2024. An excellent result.
Some wonderful driving up and down the order here today, but that is going to bring things to a conclusion here from both Silverstone and from Zolder. I want to give a massive thanks to everyone who has got it done here today, from Mike, of course, from Daniel, and from Dougie. You can catch all of the wonderful bits of equipment that have been used to bring this broadcast over to you here today, and especially the music by June Lalonde. You can catch her stuff on Bandcamp. If you haven't had the chance to already. All of the broadcasts are going to be scrolling across your screen right now. If you find something that takes your fancy, mark it down in your calendar. Make sure that you jump in and you watch. You can follow us on our socials, on our X, on our Facebook and our Instagram, as well as our website and, of course, our store NB as well. When we're next back, it'll be March 24th because we'll be at VIR and we will also be at Brands Hatch. The Club Cup and the World Sim Series never stops on the road to the WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca, on December 22nd. But with that being absolutely fantastic, with Ade Koba back to his best, up at the top, running away from the field, we've got an MX5 World Sim Series on our hands. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you at VIR and at Brands.